What's good, y'all? The Toronto Raptors go into a game as the biggest road dogs in franchise history. Early in the day, the line was negative 19.5, which means Vegas is telling you this was supposed to be the worst loss in franchise history because that's the worst line in franchise history. According to Blake Murphy, who I heard say it on the Raptors show earlier today, because I don't really follow this stuff that much, this was supposed to be a disaster game for the Raptors. There's a lot of reasons for that. Number one, there was a certain all-star level player who was coming back for the first time in a long time. That was Chet Holmgren for the OKC Thunder. It also happened to be coming back against a team that was, I don't know, coming off of trading their only other center, which is Kelly Olynyk, and trading away a very valuable couple of role players in Davion Mitchell and Bruce Brown, all of whom are no longer on the team. And oh, by the way, the guy that you got back, uh, Brandon Ingram, he was in the building, but he was not in uniform and won't be in uniform probably for a little while yet as they ramp him up. And the other guy that you got back, which is PJ Tucker, is probably on a beach sipping pina coladas. And the other guy you got back was Cash. Cash, beautiful player, Cash. He wasn't in the building either. He definitely wasn't in uniform. So the Toronto Raptors walked in undermanned. They walked in with their biggest player being Scottie Barnes at center, and they went up against Isaiah Hartenstein and Chet Holmgren, and what I consider to be the MVP of the league this year in Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and what I also consider to be the best defense uh, that I've seen in my life. And I don't say that lightly. This is an incredible defense. They turn you over at an astonishing rate. They know your tendencies better than you know your tendencies. And this is a game that could have easily been a 50-point blowout. Give me a W in the chat if you were one of the 480 to 550 people that was joining us and watched this game live with us on playback. And then give me an L if you had a headache after that. My God. I'm sorry to anybody who has a headache after I was asked about all the people. Leslie saying, yeah, 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 you got a 1, you got an L. Yeah, I had a headache too. So I needed 20 minutes to decompress after that. A lot of trash being talked about the Toronto Raptors. This live is going to be a little bit different than some of our other post-game lives. There's going to be no film breakdown because, as you can recall, I was somewhere else during this game. I was on playback watching this game with the PC crew. And I'm going to talk a little bit about player's choice and my role in player's choice going forward, maybe towards after we cover this game. But this was a very competitive loss. I'm very proud of these guys. Now, how hard do I rock with my Raptors? I found out, and I just want to let you all know something. Uh, Playback is an app in which you can watch live games. We're not sponsored by Playback. I'm just letting you all know. To those of you who don't know what Playback is, playback.tv. It's a pretty cool thing. It's a way that the NBA is creating engagement. I found out that the Raptors were 19.5-point underdogs. And I messaged Ron and I said, put the Raptors versus OKC on the main stage of playback. I'm going to be there. And I wanted to be there for a lot of reasons. Number one, I ride with this team. Win, lose, I don't care. I'm with this team. I'll be supporting this team and watching this team, even if they lose 80 games. I'll be winning. I'll be with this team when they win 80 games. The way I see it, if you don't deserve me, if you don't like me at my 42-point blowout, then you don't deserve me at my 2028 championships. Right? So I wasn't ducking the smoke. I was prepared for Scottie to have a disaster class. I know how he's been playing lately. Hasn't been making threes. And oh, by the way, now he can't finish at the rim anymore because his ankle's sore and he's kind of like losing that burst that he's been using. And I just didn't care. I was willing to go up there and have tomatoes thrown at me because I feel like this team is mad disrespected. So disrespected. I think these young players are not talked about enough across the league, and I want to make sure that people know their names. I feel like this coaching staff and the beautiful stuff that they're doing with these players is something that fills my heart with a lot of pride. I'm very proud to be a Raptor fan. Someone asked me, so if it's a 15-point loss, are you happy? Are you proud? I'm like, hell yeah, I'm proud. This is supposed to be a blowout. You're going up against a healthy team, well, pretty healthy team. They were missing Lou Dort. They were missing Case and Wallace. They were missing some good pieces too. But you were on the road. You were undermanned. And I think your rookies, your second round guys, your undrafted guys, your new two-way guy, Orlando Robinson, I think they played hard. This game was not perfect. The Raptors did shoot very well from three, especially in the first half. I mean, they ended the game shooting 46% from three, but they missed 7 free throws. They put Shea at the line 14 times. They couldn't stop fouling him in the first half. But I remind you, this is a league MVP, and tonight he did not look like a league MVP against the Raptors. He shot 5 for 12 from the field. I feel the refs gifted him a few, okay? I think that's important. And Jack's accurate. We got 3 starters out, and we're the worst team. And that rookie class with Grady was on the court with 14 points down in the fourth quarter with 7 minutes to go. You know what I mean? And then they fought. They had nothing to fight for, and they fought for the love of the game. I don't know, for the love of pride, to close the gap. And they beat the crap out of the OKC Thunder's third string to close this gap to 12. Make it respectable. 12 points. This is supposed to be the worst loss in franchise history. This is a team that you already played earlier this year, and they smoked you. I was there for that game in person. It shattered my... It sucked. That game sucked. This game felt nothing like that game. This is a game where everyone tried. Scottie tried really hard. Defensively, he was active. He was persistent. He was pursuing the ball. He had a lot of times. I mean, he ended the game with 7 stocks, right? Let's take a look at this really quickly. Scottie ends the game with 5 turnovers, 4 blocks, 3 steals, 4 assists, 21 points, right? 8 for 20 shooting. He makes 4 out of 6 threes, almost all of them from the same area of the court above the break. No corner threes for Scottie Barnes tonight, right? Ochai Agbaji struggled hard. I think Grady played about as hard as he could have possibly played. He got 3 offensive rebounds, which leads all the Raptors other than Orlando Robinson. I think Jamal Shed, quarterbacked the team pretty well, but struggled immensely against the length of this team, right? Jakob Poeltl was absolutely incredible. I thought he was incredible tonight. He attacked the rim. He attacked their shot blockers with reckless abandon. Did he get stopped a few times? Sure. He made a couple threes. I was very proud of Jacoby. Really, really proud of Jacoby. Also very, very proud of the newest Raptors signed, Jamison Battle. And who do you have to thank for that? Who do you have to thank for that? Brandon Ingram. We're going to talk a lot about Brandon Ingram. We're going to talk a lot about Jacoby. We're going to talk a lot about the Raptors, overall, what they're doing this season. Bobby's presser, to those of you who didn't catch that. And I just want you to know that as downtrodden as you may feel right now as a Raptor fan, getting smoked by 12 in the context of a season in which you are 16-36, I just want you to know that this is the best 16-36 team that I've ever watched in my life. Okay. Teams usually when they're 16-36 are awful to watch. They're not competitive. They don't play defense. They play one-on-one basketball. They have bad body language, and they're trash. This is not a trash team. It's not a trash team. We start the season again right now, fresh slate with Brandon Ingram. You're a playoff team. Okay? That's just it. You want to just go for it, and clearly what they're signaling right now is this tank is over right now. It's over. We're not doing this shit again. That's it. This one season. To everyone saying, "Oh my God, it's going to be 2-3 seasons." Shut the front door. Shut the front door. Sorry, it's the first 10 minutes. I'm going to try not to swear in the first 10 minutes. I was going to say shut the F up, but shut the front door. Come on. It's over now. You're going to get a top 5 pick, top 6 pick, hopefully, with the graces of God and the lottery gods. You get a top 3 pick, and you add it to this culture with BI fully locked in, Scottie with another summer of development, and Lord, we're going to talk about some of the development stuff that he needs to do. With Emmanuel quickly, with one more summer to just develop himself. Grady, get a little bit stronger. Jacoby, get a little bit stronger. Jamison Battle and Jonathan Mobo hitting threes. Every time he hits a three, he hit 2 tonight. He was 2 for 2. He hit 2 the last game too. Who the hell saw this coming? I recall, by the way, let me make myself big when I say this. I recall that there was an open practice that the Raptors held. Do y'all remember that one? I think it was in Montreal. And there was an open practice and the media were invited to go, and William Lou was losing his mind at Jonathan Mobo airballing threes. And I got really mad at that. And then there was a clip that Esfandiar Barhaney shared somewhat innocently of Ochai reworking his shot with Darko. And there was a whole bunch of idiots online saying, you should have known how to shoot before you came into the NBA. Trust your coaching staff. The only thing these players can do to diminish what this coaching staff is doing is to not listen to them, is to not try. You know how hard it was in the beginning to even convince Jonathan Mobo to take these threes? It was really hard. Give me one sec here. That was what Darko was talking about. This is my tug of war with Jonathan Mobo. I've got to convince him that this shot is a good shot. But it's so hard to get a player who hasn't taken that shot really in a game in 5 years. He wasn't taking these shots. He wasn't taking these shots at San Francisco. He wasn't taking these shots. So you got a guy who came in and dropped all the way down to the second round because everyone swore he couldn't shoot. And he was undersized to be a big. And they oversaw all the rebounding, athleticism, and transition play and connective playmaking and, all of that desire and late bloomer potential. And now you basically got Pascal Siakam back, bro. Am I lying? He was -3 in a game in which he played starter minutes against the Twin Towers of the OKC Thunder. He played out of position. He had 3 assists, 2 steals, 10 points. I think Jonathan Mobo competed very hard tonight. Andrew's saying Ochai is 3 times the player he was last year, and people still complain. Yeah. There's something I realized watching a lot of successful people in my life blow up. I saw their failures. I had a I had a friend of mine. Shout outs to Ike. We were part of the same fraternity, and I would see this guy and how hard he would work. And I really identified with Ike, and we were really close friends because I was working hard too. I was really pushing together for my future. And every day I would see this guy coming back from the library, and I would see how hard he was working. And I would see other people kind of coasting on their studies. And this guy was just pushing in the grind. Am I surprised that Ike is one of the most successful people that I know today? No. But I saw that success in him when he was struggling. I saw the success in him because I saw his work ethic. I saw his process. There's a lot of people like this in the world. They're considered overnight successes. Like next year when the Raptors are really, really good, all you're going to hear is Darko Rakovic, Coach of the Year. What a miracle. No one saw this coming. But we saw this coming. This community sees this coming every night. We see the building blocks. We see it. Well, when we were on playback, I was talking about Jonathan Mobo, and they were shocked when I said he hadn't made a single 3 in college basketball. Chill was like, just so I get this straight, he made this many 3s in college basketball? I said, yes, sir. And he just made one in front of your face. And I said, he just made another one right in front of your face again. And then I started talking about Jamal Shed and his terrible shooting splits and how he was considered a non-shooter when he was coming out of Houston. And he was like, so that's another one. So y'all developed 2. And I was like, well, Ochai too. He's a much better player. And RJ too. He's a better player. And IQ and Scottie and this entire team is getting better. And I got news for you. Brandon Ingram is going to get better. Brandon Ingram is going to get better. And unlike these guys, he already has like star package shit that he can get better at. The Raptors are going to make Brandon Ingram a much better basketball player. You see, the Raptors have an ability to bring the best out of people. I keep talking about this as one of the most proudest things I am with this team is that they're not a perfect basketball team. They were never designed to be a perfect basketball team. They played 4 rookies in the 4th quarter. What do you want against what is prohibitively, I think, going to be the NBA champions this year? How can you not be proud of this team? You know how difficult it is? Like Jacoby's like guarding up on Shea. just gets bumped in the first quarter, and Shea grifts to the line and gets a foul. And Jacoby's mad at himself. You can see it. Shout outs to Jacoby's trainer, Eric. He was there tonight watching the games he's from the Texas area. Shout outs to Jacoby's people. You know, it was a good opportunity for them to see their son, their friend, you know, play meaningful minutes against the OKC Thunder and ball out. 5 for 9 from the field. So you see this process, and you know, I'm dying. I don't know what's going on with my throat right now. Maybe it's like a lack of sleep. Okay, hopefully better now. I'm trying to drink something warm here to warm up my warm. You know what it might be? I think I was yelling on the playback stream so much. There we go. You're right. You're right. You screamed your lungs out on playback. I was losing my mind. First of all, when Scottie blocked that first shot, I was like, "Oh my god!" I was so happy. I was so happy. Hey, what's going on, man? I'm happy to have you here. Y'all are great. Y'all are great. I love the OKC Thunder. Hang on one second. I gotta just give me 1 second. Okay, I'm gonna be right back. I feel like, okay, hang on. Okay, I'm good. I think I'm good. Okay. So overall, I mean, this game was a predictable thing, right? They have so much size in the middle, right? So the only way you're going to beat them is by shooting threes. And congratulations, you shot a lot of threes. You shot a lot of threes and you made a lot of threes. You shot 41 threes and you made 19. And you know who's making those threes? 2 from Jakob Poeltl, 3 from Jamison Battle, 2 from Jonathan Mobo, 1 from Jamal Shed, 3 from Chris Boucher, who started out very shaky, but got better as the game went on, participated big time. 2 from Grady Dick. Really, it's like, if I had told you coming into this game that your 2 snipers, which are basically Ochai and Emmanuel Quickly, went 2 for 12, 2 for 10, you would have assumed there's no way in hell the Raptors shot above 30% from 3. They shot 46% from 3. It's worth noting that the Raptors did not at any point look like they were going to win this game. They did not deserve to win this game. Their defense was competitive. Their offensive process was somewhat predictable. I think these are fair criticisms that you can draw. Speaking specifically, let's speak about specific players. I thought Emmanuel Quickly had a really, really tough time with the length. I think he had a really tough time defensively. And overall, while I am very impressed with the 10 assists that he managed to, you know, build up, I do think the 5 turnovers were a little bit worrying, especially a couple of them, which were very predictable, sort of just a process of just bad decision making. Jonathan Mobo playing very out of position at the center spot, really tough. Competed hard, man. Competed very hard. Scottie Barnes starts the game out, I think 1 for 8. Finishes the game 8 for 20. That tells me something. He's a second half player. Towards the end of the first half, he made a couple threes, which really helped. Really. And then he opens up the second half with a 3. That helped. The Raptors kept it marginally close, but really this game fell apart in the middle of the first quarter, where the OKC Thunder built that really big lead against the bench, right? If we take a look at it, right? If you want to take a look at the game cast here, it was really like right here. So it's 13, 17. You know, you're keeping up with them, right? And then boom, next thing you know, it's 32-20. Really, it was 30-19. And it's like, yeah, you get them back. Scottie comes back in the game. I think it's worth noting you were down 11 at the half and Scottie was +2, which means you lost probably 5 minutes without Scottie by 13 points. It's just really tough. Does RJ playing this game and Jakob playing this game swing this game? I don't think it does. I just think different guys get shots, different shot profiles maybe are magnified, but it would have helped. Certainly would have helped. Maybe the OKC Thunder don't, maybe they play even better. Maybe they don't pull Shea as soon. Maybe. But if Brandon Ingram plays this game, and RJ Barrett plays this game, and Jakob Poeltl plays this game, and you play this hard, and you have this kind of shooting luck, this is a 2-point win or a 2-point loss. That's what I want to tell you. Right? Scottie had 3 steals and 4 blocks. If any player had those numbers, people would hype them. Scottie does it, and no one acknowledges it. Sure. I mean, there is a consistent, I think the paint defense for them was just incredible, and the paint was very wide open for the Raptors. I mean, the Raptors really definitively lost the paint battle by a lot. I didn't even look at the numbers. 60-34. Yikes. The OKC Thunder got whatever they wanted inside. I mean, shout outs to Orlando Robinson and Scottie Barnes and Jonathan Mobley. They did as much as they could, but the Raptors could not contain the basketball at the point of attack. You lose Davion Mitchell, you're going to lose some of that. You lose Bruce Brown. He's a part of that. He's a part of that success, right? So Ara to Jones saying Ingram changes a lot for y'all. I agree. Brandon Ingram changes a lot. He changes how you guard. There were plays where I was diagramming, or at least trying to explain to the people in the chat over on Player's Choice Playback, where when Scottie drives, he's got Alex Caruso on him, he's got Jalen Williams in the gap helping, and he's got Isaiah Hartenstein 2 feet away. They're triple teaming, double teaming him on every drive, and he doesn't have burst right now, and he's not trusting his shot. That turnaround jumper that he's been getting off against bad teams, against good teams, they know that's your bread and butter. You're going to have to go through something else. You're going to have to pressure the rim a little bit more. You're going to have to finish through contact. Scottie continues to miss some bunnies around the rim. He missed quite a few today. There was a particularly crazy play where, he has a breakaway dunk and he looks back, and I mean, we can debate till we're blue in the face whether that was foul or not, but listen, man, people have been very, very critical of him doing that for a long time. And I feel like on the road, when you're down, you can't do that. When you're up 15 points at home, please do it. I love it. It gives me hype because honestly, I just remember him doing that when he was in grade school, and I'm just happy for him that he's staying himself. But honestly, on the road against OKC with their shot blockers, you can't do that. That was a pivot point in the game. Him trying to dunk on Chet, that was wild. Then there was the fast break, where he kind of just loses the ball, gathers, review. Darko loses another challenge. Everyone in the media loses their mind. Why does he keep challenging things for Scottie? It goes off of Scottie's leg. Things like that. You're seeing improvements, but with Scottie, it's very feast or famine. Let me explain what I mean. Scottie Barnes gets the ball on the block. Okay. One dribble, smooth, release. Good. Next play down. Same thing, right? Third play down. He's either losing the basketball or he's losing it on the way up and he's trying to gather it, and it's going to be a really tough release. He's dribbling it off his foot, or he's losing his feet while he's doing it. This is all rote for him. This is like, wait, what am I supposed to be doing here? It's a little bit of that OG Anunoby thing. Wait, where's my foot supposed to go on this? How's the defense coming over here? It's unnatural. It's unnatural. He's not a natural scorer. That doesn't mean that he can't evolve into it. Paul George wasn't a natural scorer. Kawhi wasn't a natural scorer. They became buckets. It is just a matter of reps. You need reps. There was a lot of conversation about why does Scottie take so many threes if he can't make threes on the playback stream. I said, you have to take these threes. If you're going to be a star player in the league, your shot profile has to be center court. Your whole shot profile has to be center court. 95% of your shots have to come from what I call the star zone on the court. You can't be coming from the corners. You can't become Ochai Agbaji. You just can't. Why do you think they value Brandon Ingram so much? Go look at his shot charts. They're center zone. You want your best decision makers at certain places on the court. You want them to be successful, and you want them to be scoring, passing, and driving threats on all three levels, or all three stages of the court. Ideally, you have a player like Trae Young, who's damn near unstoppable, apart from his size, and he's a threat to pull from 28, 32 feet. He's a threat to pull in the mid range. He's a threat to get in the floater range to the basket. And that's what makes him lethal because you can't really game plan against that. You can't really force him away from that spot on the court that he's good at. He's good at all the spots. So, what the Raptors do and what the Raptors have done for most of this season is they have put players in positions to fail so they can succeed. Fail to succeed doesn't make sense to a lot of people because people are dumb. They don't do that. They don't, I don't know. Maybe they've never lifted the weight that they couldn't lift. Maybe they've never tried to solve a math puzzle they couldn't solve. Maybe they've never tried to play a chess player who's 400 elo ahead of them to just understand that sometimes these reps help. It helps. It really does help. It helps to push yourself to the breaking point. And the Raptors have found their breaking point. They've found how much of this mid-post stuff they can do with Scottie. But he's found it himself too. It's great. It's a great thing for him. This is a part of his evolution. Last year was the 3-point catch and shoot, drive to the rim. The previous year, it was, the cuts to the basket and the, sort of bulldoze your way to the basket. Next year, it'll be something else. And maybe after 4 years of this, or 4.5 years of this, you'll see a superstar emerging. And you'll remember this entire painful structure and process. Right? That's a great one. That's a great one. Kobe certainly was not comfortable shooting threes when he came out of Lower Merion, man. I'll tell you that. He could make a few of them, but he airball every second or third one. And the only thing that you really measure with young players is how willing are you and how comfortable are you failing. Jakob Poeltl just driving to the rim against Chet Holmgren and just does not care, just throws his body into them. Grady Dick throwing his body, reckless abandon, getting offensive rebounds, trying to take shots, trying to get beyond his game. You have no idea how hard it is to get players to want to look, to be willing to look so dumb, right? Easy to get a player to keep doing what they want to do. Easy. It's easy to get Jonathan Mobo to be a lob threat. He's been a lob threat all college. Getting Jonathan Mobo to take a three, knowing damn well that it could be an air ball on national television. Well, the Raptors aren't on national television. Let's not lie. But national television in Canada, it's on national television. Potentially 30 million, 38 million, 40 million people are going to watch you airball a three with the game on the line. But Darko's like, swag, take it. This is how you get better. Got to get better. Overall, I think towards the end of the game, obviously the bench unit just brought it home, man. They really brought it home. They competed hard. Very, very happy for Jamison Battle getting that contract converted. It felt like a completely foregone conclusion the second I watched him play in preseason that this is a guy you have to convert. Him converting to a full roster spot because the Raptors did not take back an extra player in the Brandon Ingram trade. And now they'll have another roster spot that'll open because Orlando Robinson, who was previously a 10-day, goes to a 2-way contract. This is great. This is great. I'm a fan of Orlando Robinson. I think he flashed some really good playmaking stuff tonight too. Overall takeaways of the game. The future is very bright. The future is very, very bright. These guys are locked in. They're together. They're getting better. Jacoby looks so much better. Big shout out to Raptors girl, Susan, who's been, a bit of I want to call, she might blush if I say this, but a bit of a mentor for me as a content creator because she's such a great content creator herself with Susan Garrett Dogs. And, she just mentioned that, like, when she went to the game, that Jacoby looked really huge. Like, he looked really strong. She was sitting borderline courtside. And right next to the press box, she sent me a picture of it. And Jacoby's getting stronger, man. He's getting stronger. Just give these guys an off season, man. Just give them one off season. I'm so there right now. The steps they took last off season, just give them one more. Just give them one more and a clean bill of health, and hopefully no crazy injuries going into next season. Give them that top 5 pick. Give them that one summer of development. Give them that one summer to integrate Brandon Ingram into what they're doing, and you're going to see a really successful basketball team next year. I don't know about, second round, third round, whatever. They will be a playoff team. They're going to be a playoff team next year. Okay. We got to look at some stuff. We will definitely, we don't have a film breakdown. So we're going to talk about Brandon Ingram showing up to Toronto because that was hella exciting. Very exciting to see the exchange between him and Darko via the Open Gym Gang. They always do great stuff. Very, very interesting to see some of the pictures and some of the stuff that's just come out of it. So we'll talk about that. We will talk about this morning, Bobby Webster addressed the media and talked about the luxury tax bill. He also went on to the Raptors show with Matt Bonner and Blake Murphy. And he also talked about the luxury tax bill there. Nothing really earth-shattering, nothing that you necessarily would think, wow. But, you know, you can read between the lines. The Raptors are willing to be a tax team next year, which is good. That's great. I mean, personally, I don't give a shit what MLSE pays or doesn't pay. They charge fans up the wazoo. So I can't believe it just said up the wazoo. Can you tell that I was very close to my grandparents? You can, right? All right. Check this out. And we also got a caller. Baxter, hang tight. I'm going to just talk about this for a second, and then we're going to get to callers. If you would like to call in, link is in the description. We can talk about this. We can talk about the game. We can talk about Brandon Ingram. We can talk about Scottie Barnes. We can talk about Emmanuel quickly. We can talk about contracts. We can talk about the draft. We can talk about whatever you want because this is your night. Your team just went out and competed their guts out, undermanned against OKC. You deserve this. This is a good night. Okay. Brandon Ingram is here. To anybody who hasn't, who isn't following PENSARE Basketball on X, I'm sorry about my throat, yo. I really think I lost my throat. I think I lost my voice screaming on. I feel like I lost my throat on. I lost my voice screaming on playback. So I'm just trying to push through, and I'm hoping that this warm liquid will help my throat calm down. But yes, the Raptors officially announce it. Very, very cool, right? You see it, the post, right? Brandon Ingram obviously posting his goodbyes. We talked about this, the wingspan thing. The Raptors waived James Wiseman to anyone who was not aware of that. Yes, they did. This post is Brandon Ingram's not afraid of ducking the smoke. Like, he's not afraid of the smoke. Yeah, man. Brandon Ingram's a tough dude. He's a tough dude. He's a very competitive dude. Do y'all want to redo of me answering questions as Masai? Y'all want to laugh at that? I'll give you a second. Andrew, are you crazy? Do you understand basketball? Or did you take a degree from Clown University? We're trying to win. And if you want to win, you must have big wings. You can't have small wings because then you can't fly. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Shaquille O'Neal, Hakeem Olajuwon, Jakob Poeltl. This is how you win championships. 7-footers. Is Dalton Connect 7 feet? No. Fuck that bum. You know the word, winning. Maybe you don't. You're a loser. But winning. We won the first time PJ came here. The second time PJ came here, we started We the North. That's another win. Believe in yourselves. Believe in this city that you can run a winter film festival and have the whole world show up. I tell you right now, I'm fucking Masai Ujiri. We're not tanking on back-to-back years. We already tanked back-to-back years. We're not tanking on back-to-back-to-back years. Okay? At 1, I say, damn. At 2, I say, fuck. At 3, I quit. Yeah, I don't know. Was it funny? Was it not funny? I'm working on my comedy skills, man. Brandon Ingram showing up, looking happy. I don't know why Raptors social media posts that one picture of him looking super morose. But this was the picture that really, I got to tell you, this had me excited. This had me happy. They were really, really happy. Tetrahedron, 6 out of 10. That's okay. I'm going to work on it. I'm going to work on my delivery. I have a feeling like if I script that and I really worked on it, more winning. Oh my goodness. More. I thought I killed it. Okay. Love the picture. Love the picture. And this is a little clip from Open Gym.
definitely a fresh start. Some new faces, some young talent around, and I'm excited to bring some positive energy.
Welcome to Toronto,
Brendan, welcome. I've been playing against Brendan since his first day in the league, and obviously I have very high opinion of you. We as an organization have very high opinion of you. You're going to be a great fit for us. We're really excited to have you with us.
We will remember that handshake for a very long time. And we're not going to give NBA Chev any advice there or any playback there. But this post, I just wanted to read this out to y'all. To those of you who are following us on X, I apologize. I wrote this out, and I want to read it out to you because I think that it kind of paints the entire picture of what's been going on in the Raptors land over the last 18 months. So I said 18 months ago, Masai Ujiri began reshaping the roster around Scottie Barnes. Scottie witnessed his all-star point guard Fred VanVleet depart in free agency, lured away by the highest bidder. Just 4 months later, two of his closest friends on the team were jettisoned to New York. Give me a W for the word jettisoned. I don't know why I used that. The team was in constant flux, a revolving door of new faces to adjust to. Then came the shocking news. Pascal Siakam, the face of the franchise for over 5 years, was traded to Indiana for Bruce Brown, Jordan Nwora, and 3 draft picks. It was now officially Scottie's team. Some fans celebrated, others were disappointed, but the majority held their breath, hoping for the best. Around 13 months ago, Masai sat Scottie down and asked him to trust him. This is right after they traded OG Anunoby to anyone, right before they traded OG or right after. I know there was a meeting between Masai and Scottie where he just said, look, this is going to be really bad, but trust us, okay? The team was being torn down, but the goal was to rebuild it stronger than before, and this wouldn't happen overnight. After Gary left to join Milwaukee in free agency, Scottie was left with just one player from his original 2021-2022 roster, Chris Boucher, and even his future was less than certain. I wonder how Scottie felt over those 18 months. I wonder if he ever looked up the score, saw his team down 38 points, and felt an awkward silence. Was this because of him? Was this because he'd shown how good he was and that he was good enough to build around? Was it because of how much he'd struggled in his second season? Had he even done enough to try and fit into Fred and Pascal's timeline? Had he influenced this at all? I wonder if he felt the weight of the city, the country, and this fan base as he shot 0 for 7 from 3. I wonder if he watched Fred, OG, and Pascal thriving in their new situations as a team around him, struggle to be competitive, and wondered, why couldn't they have just stayed here? Why couldn't they have stayed together? This summer, the Raptors brought in Scottie's close friend Jonathan Mobo via the draft, adding to a group of young players who quickly formed strong bonds with Scottie. Over the course of a long summer, the team began to gel. A somewhat sullen Scottie Barnes started to find that joy again. While 2024 was rough, there was progress. Amidst the injuries, the trades, the rumors, and false starts, there was a faint light at the end of the proverbial tunnel. The team was gradually improving, building good habits, rebuilding their culture, learning how to play together, how to defend, and most importantly, how to play in Scottie's style. Transition, selfless, constant movement, cutting, aggressive defense, 0.5 offense. This is Scottie ball in a nutshell. 13 months ago, Masai Ujiri asked Scottie for patience. 2 days ago, Masai rewarded that patience by giving Scottie the most talented teammate he has ever played with on any level, anywhere. In 3 months, Masai may deliver Scottie a top 5 pick and another vital cornerstone for the Raptors' future. Toronto's efforts to surround Scottie with promising young talent have clearly paid off. And this summer, as he grinds for 6 hours a day in the gym, he will reward that faith by becoming the type of superstar Masai Ujiri has wanted to build around for 15 years. The future is now. Now, I say this all with lucid thought. I stand behind what I just said here 1,000%. I'm willing to be wrong if I'm wrong. I don't think I'm wrong. I think this is exactly how it broke down. And I'm excited. I'm a very excited Raptor fan. You expect me to be sad because my team has 16 wins? I'll tell you, I'm happy they have their draft pick. I'm happy that, we got Brandon Ingram. And I'm really happy that this is basically how the Spurs got Tim Duncan. Do you know why the Spurs were competitive so soon after they drafted Tim Duncan? Part of it is because Tim Duncan was generational. That's part of it. Part of it was that team was never supposed to be that bad. That's why they were so good. Once they got a top 20 player, they added a top 20 player to a team that was already like a 48 win team. Yeah, that's how you win championships. The teams that tear it down all the way, like your Charlottes trading away Mark Williams, your Washingtons trading away basically everybody but the rookies, these teams are going to be in the doldrum of just being terrible for years and years and years. This team, the Toronto Raptors, will not. Okay, let's bring on Baxter. Anyone else want to call in? You can call in. Links in the description. What's going on, Baxter?
Not much, man. That was a good game for the
Sure.
Raptors.
Yeah.
Man, I'm a huge Raptors fan at the moment. Bi is one of my favorite players in the league. So
Yeah.
I'm
Tell me about him. What do you like?
I've always been a fan. I'm gonna be honest, since
Me too.
since he's been drafted at the New Davis trade, him with Zion, and it's just, he's on the team now.
It's wild. It's wild.
Yeah.
I mean, the
KD
value
compared
is so beaten down, and I feel like people are so nitpicking like all of his weaknesses. I've heard people legit say he's not a good defender, and I'm like,
impossible.
I've watched him play for like a good 7-8 years now. I watched him play at Duke. I mean, this dude can defend.
This Musawa Ujiri 6'8", 6'9" build thing that he's been saying is coming full circle, because he's one of the main guys in the NBA that can really do that, guard any position,
I mean, he's a little slight of frame to guard centers, and he's a little bit rigid to guard point guards. But honestly, he's about as good at it as about like he could do it. Like I'm sure if they work with him, like one of the most impressive things about the Raptors right now is they're going to work with him on all levels. Number one, they're going to work with him mentally, right? Just get him out of the headspace of being in New Orleans. I don't know how you felt about that situation for him, but I felt bad for him every time I watched him in New Orleans.
I mean, when they had Lonzo, that was Lonzo, Drew
Legit.
Holiday.
That was legit.
Good team. That was a good team, but he's in a spot where it's like he wants to provide good energy, positive energy, but like this is the team to do that, because they're play in, 6 seed, best case scenario type of team.
This Raptor team next year?
Definitely, like with RJ
best case scenario 6
possibly
seed?
being. Yeah, definitely.
What's worst case scenario? If that's the best case, what's
worst case? Oh, just seeing how aggressive management is with the trades. Like I don't know. Like playing definitely is like worst case.
So like 10, 9?
Yeah, because Scottie's ready to ball out with his 20 points per game this season.
Mm-hmm.
On a bad year.
Okay.
I think we're ready to ball next season.
Okay. I mean, I'm gonna say I think best case scenario is 3rd seed. And I'm gonna say the worst case scenario.
Milwaukee's looking pretty good. I'm not gonna lie.
I mean, they're gonna be a year older. They got Kyle Kuzma now. I mean, Brook Lopez gets a year older. Dame gets a year older. I don't know. One injury and they're cooked. They don't have a lot of depth. I like the Raptors' depth. That's what I really like. I like Jamison Battle off the bench as like my 11th guy. I like that guy.
It seems like we committed on Jamal said with the Mitchell trade.
Are you surprised?
No, not really.
Yeah, me neither.
Jamal Shed's the guy.
Jamal's the guy, man. They told us he's the future. Why would anyone be surprised? Unless, of course, you're Esfandiar Barhani, in which case you're very surprised. But everybody else is not surprised. Most people shouldn't be surprised. Jamal, to be fair, Davion has some super fans across the league. There's some people who cap for him and swear he's a starting point guard in the league. To those people, I say good luck. I hope he becomes that. I hope he has a great run with Miami. I'm sure we're going to be watching playoff games this year, and Davion's going to get like some minutes, and he's going to ball out. I'd be happy for him for sure. I'm going to be real happy for him, actually. Like,
Yeah, definitely.
I
Miami
went
is a
full
team
circle
to
with him.
play players like Davion that just plays defense, and like you'd be surprised that he makes 2 or 3 3-pointers, but like I don't think he's that guy in the league.
Absolutely. Anyways, man, any final thoughts?
Yeah, Brandon Ingram trade is a big time league trade. I don't think people really realize what that trade really means to the Raptors, but we'll pay him if he wants to stay, and then we'll
He
build
won't.
around him.
He's staying.
Hopefully.
100% he's staying. There's no hopefully. He's staying. I promise you he's staying. He pushed his way here. He wanted to be here. Like I'm not like I've been saying this for 2 weeks. Like he wants to be here. He's wanted to be here. Clutch wants him here. He wanted to be here. He's happy here. Like we don't need to entertain the idea of him leaving. Him leaving would be mud on everybody's face. There's not another landing spot for him. So if he wants to leave, like let's just say something happens in the next 2 months and he really wants to leave, the Raptors will be the only team that can really facilitate a sign and trade, in which case you'll be paid handsomely for it.
Yep.
I'm not worried at all. All right, man.
All right.
Cool. Peace.
Cool.
AD, what's up?
What's going on, man?
What's good?
Yeah, so a couple things I was thinking about. So I saw the Bobby interviews that came out today or last night or whatever. And, you know, he's talking about essentially, well, not maybe directly, but indirectly, he's saying that Raptors are okay with being a tax team next year. And I question MLSE's willingness to do that.
Sure.
Just because historically the Raptors haven't done that sort of thing. So what do you think is the chance that they actually, you know, are willing to do that?
Bro, read the comment on the screen. Andrew, you're goated. This is the greatest, the greatest comment. The timeliness of this, I'm so glad I saw this. It's just because your name is AD.
Yeah.
Oh, that's hilarious.
That's hilarious. Yeah, I'm with Max Christie right now, but anyways.
Okay. So, yeah, can you remind me of the last sentence you said? I'm sorry. So that just wiped my brain.
I'm just questioning, you know, MLSC's real willingness to go into the tax next season when, you know, the Raptors aren't historically an organization that likes, you know, or not the Raptors really. MLSC is maybe not the most generous with their money. I'll put it that way.
Well, I mean, double U.S. salary is paid in U.S. dollars.
True.
Gates are covered in Canadian dollars. This is tough. It's a tough business, right? I understand. I think you're correct to have a few reservations. I'll tell you why I think it's probably not a bluff. Number one, I ran through the cap sheet towards the end of yesterday's episode, and quite frankly, it feels almost impossible to sign Brandon Ingram to anything north of $36 million and not be a tax team.
Yep.
Right? So he would have to give you a significant discount, and at which point you would be signing EuroLeague veterans to minimum contracts. Like legit.
Yeah.
So that's tough. Now, obviously, you conduct the tax by trading someone like Emmanuel Quickley or RJ Barrett, or maybe combining them to take on a Zach LaVine or something like that. If you wanted to. I'm just saying, if you wanted to do something like that where you give the other team value, they give you savings, they want to be a tax team, you don't want to be a tax team, you feel like you can fill that role with Grady Dick, you think Ochai and Jacoby can step up into bigger roles. I mean, it's just worth noting the Raptors have a tremendous amount of depth. Like depth that should play. And you have a rookie coming in who will be a hell of a discount for the value that they have around the league, right?
Agreed.
So, and you also have potentially, I mean, if Portland can stop winning, that would be great right about now. But you will have potentially like a top 40 pick coming in, like a 40th pick, 38th pick. I mean, damn, I thought it was going to be like a 33rd pick, but yeah, whatever. It's going to be a 40th pick. So you'll have that pick as well, and that'll be a minimum contract or a two-way guy as well. So it's like you fill out your roster, maybe you convert Ulrich to a minimum contract.
Yeah.
Again, you fill out your end of your bench with veteran minimum guys. This is going to be a very top-heavy team for the first time in a long time. It's not going to be like, okay, we got Bruce Brown, $23 million of dead weight money on our bench, or something like that.
Right.
You won't be able to afford any contracts like that. But the reason I say that they could be a tax team is because they saved a lot of money this year. Not only did they get cash back on 2 of the deals, right? And we don't know how much cash because it wasn't disclosed, but there's a significant amount of money that came back to them. But they also operated as a team that didn't use their mid-level for most of the season. So for 50 plus games of the season, they were $11 million under the tax line. If you look at the Raptors historically, they're right under the tax line. They're usually like $1 million under.
True.
So this year, they saved that money by being a really bad team that had a lot of rookies. So if next year you do get a super high lottery pick and you're bringing in Brandon Ingram and Scottie Barnes and you are a very, very, very expensive ticket. Sorry to tell the fans. This is going to be a very expensive product.
Yeah.
Okay. It may not, like, if you think that the Raptors winning like 20 games this year is going to dissuade MLSE from boosting prices by 60% or 40% or some crazy amount next year, you're wrong. They're going to boost it a lot. If they get Cooper Flag, you will have to be literally related to the Queen to attend these fucking games.
Yeah, seriously.
Okay, so it's gonna be hard, right?
No,
and they're gonna justify it by the dollar and whatever. Point is, they can easily be a luxury tax team if they do get like a really legit prospect and they add it to 2 all-stars and they're young, they could do it. They'll probably try not to do it though. You're right. They'll try not to do it.
I agree. I think my concern there is like I like RJ's spot on this roster right now, and I think he's probably at the most risk of being traded in our current situation. And I don't know if like where does the team go without an RJ in the future, provided that Scottie doesn't become this 30-point per game scorer,
Where did they go without RJ?
Like, I mean, from a scoring perspective, like taking RJ off of this roster and, not maybe like that rim pressure he provides. And like, I know a lot can change between now and then, but imagining this team without a scorer like that is kind of like interesting to me.
Well, we haven't seen Brandon Ingram.
That's true.
And Scottie Barnes yet. That's a lot of, that's 40 points per game. I mean, if you want to think of it that way, it's 42 points per game. Yeah. Brandon Ingram is a significant upgrade on RJ Barrett as a scorer in terms of diversity of shot. Sure. But if you can make Brandon Ingram more efficient, and certainly he's a more accomplished shooter than any of your wings. Like in the NBA, he has had a legit 39% season for an entire season where he was an all-star. Like he hasn't forgotten how to shoot. He just doesn't he doesn't take the shots that you want him to take. So he's a more accomplished shooter than Scottie, and he's frankly a more consistent and accomplished shooter than RJ. He's consistently, league average or above. So I reject this notion that Brandon Ingram is a bad shooter, that he can't space the corners or anything like that. So naturally, you'll have players potentially, your top 3, top 4 pick might be a wing. That's possible. So that kind of bumps RJ. It's possible also that the early signs that we saw from Grady, if you recall, those 18, 30-point games, that he could take one more step. I think right now I'm really acknowledging how physically weak Grady is. He's 100%. Very, very physically weak.
Around the rim is just tragic right now.
Around the rim, even some of his shots are a little bit like, you can sort of tell that he just doesn't have the strength to shoot the NBA 3.
He's off balance a lot, I think.
Yeah, but when you see him take a pull-up shot from like 18, 19 feet, butter. It's so butter.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, I love his ability to contort his body in like different directions. And I do think that, with this type of offense, with good screeners, you can sustain a lineup with him as your top guy in his prime.
I think that's
maybe
fair.
not next year. Jacoby is relentless getting to the rim. He is incredible.
I've just been impressed with him all year round, to be honest.
Yeah. And I mean, he projects to be so much better as a defender than RJ.
Yeah.
that
agree.
at some point he's going to push him anyway. And that some point could come within 2 years. The complication of
Yeah, and I
RJ is
think
that he's extension eligible this summer. And the
Mhm.
minute you commit to like what he wants, which is probably going to be 30 million plus, just to
At
future
least.
proof, you know,
Yeah.
his contract, the minute you commit to that, you are basically committing to trading Emmanuel quickly. Because there's
Yeah,
no
essentially.
way you're not going to bring back Grady. You're not going to, you know, at some point, Grady has to get an extension. You don't want to be in a
Mhm.
situation that the New Orleans Pelicans were just in right now, where you have to trade from a position of desperation because everyone knows you're about to be a second apron team because of RJ Barrett. So, yeah, I mean, I would love to see RJ Barrett work out with this core, but I do think the Raptors need to choose between him and Emmanuel Quickly. And I know that most fans will immediately throw Emmanuel Quickly to the Wolves right now, but I think theoretically what Emmanuel Quickly does is more valuable around Scottie and BI. But I
I
think
can get behind
RJ
that. Yeah.
works very well too. I think he works very well too. I mean, at his best, I think Emmanuel Quickly can be like a 20-point per game scorer. I really do. I think he'd be like 20 points, decent team defender. But you know what's worth interesting? It's very interesting that over the past few weeks, I've noticed that RJ is a very good team defender at times too. Like he can lock in and he can be a part of that. So, you know, the homegrown talent, the younger
For sure.
player, also the cheaper player so far. So I don't know, man. Like I think at some point you're probably gonna dump them both. If I'm being honest, I feel like
I could
you're
see
gonna,
it. I could see it. Yeah.
you know. So we'll see. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Time will
Anyways, man.
tell.
Any final thoughts?
And I guess one more thing that I haven't seen anyone talk about this, but it's what are the Nets doing with Cameron Johnson? Like I'm shocked that he's still a Net. And I know earlier in the offseason, really, we were talking a lot about how, you know, Cam Johnson is likely to be a Raptor. And I get why that didn't pan out, but it's just been weighing on my mind. Like, what are the Nets thinking? That's just
I think they
crazy.
were thinking that some team out there was going to give him two first round picks for him, and they didn't. So I
I
mean,
agree,
you
but
know, it's like, okay, it's a good player. Hold on to him. Maybe someone gets desperate in the offseason. I feel like they're kind of holding out in that. The team that I think should have traded for him is Atlanta. If not them, OKC. But you know, he's a really good player, and he deserves to be on a good team.
no,
Anyways,
for
man,
sure.
thanks a lot for
Yeah,
calling
man.
in. Appreciate you.
Appreciate it. Have a good one.
Peace. Enjoy Dallas. I don't think he caught that. Okay. After Raven, we got a channel classic. Channel classic? Am I gassing him up too much? Vince, the music guy, Vince Sanity, is coming on after Raven. Raven, what's up?
What's up, dude? How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Not bad, thanks. Just wanted to comment. I'll be short and sweet, man. You want to watch the Vince stuff? It's all good. I just wanted to say that I'm.
Take your time, man. Vince is good. What's up?
Nah, honestly, I'm just happy to see Brandon Ingram as a Raptor, bro. And I just wanted to call in to say that, and just to watch that whole thing with Darko and the team and stuff like that. That was really awesome to watch, man. A lot of people are hating on Brandon Ingram, but like honestly, I think he's gonna fit well with this team, bro.
I agree. I think he's a very, very selfless player. I think he's a very underrated defender. I'm a very big fan of Brandon Ingram. I feel like people don't know this about me, but every single time I played 2K with the Raptors, I would always somehow find a way to get Brandon Ingram on the Raptors, playing with this core. If he was a free agent, I would sign him. I just have a very high opinion of big playmakers in general. This is why I'm very, very high on Cooper. It's why I'm very, very high on AJ DeBonsa. It's why I'm very high on Scottie Barnes. I like players who are versatile. I like players who can play multidimensional. It's actually why I liked Otto Porter. Shit. Like, I mean, basically, if you're 6'8", 6'9", and you got some tools, I probably like you as a player, you know? So
Fair
yeah,
enough.
I think Brandon Ingram is going to fit in very well. Yeah. What do you think the contract's going to look like?
Probably like 36 and over, man. Easy.
Yeah. I feel like, you know, him waving the trade kicker was a good start to the relationship, as
I agree.
Blake Murphy said, you know, because it allowed the Raptors to convert Jamison Battle to a 3-year standard contract. Oh, the Raptors got a steal. You know, so long I've looked at certain organizations with a little bit of envy. I don't often feel a sense of envy, but as the Raptors were trying to develop Malachi Flynn, you must understand my heart was bleeding. So, and my eyes were bleeding even more. So I would look at teams like Memphis. I would look at teams like now Cleveland, right? The Sam Merrills. And I'm like, how do they keep finding these guys? Like, where are they finding these guys? They're so good, and nobody else signed them. They were right there. They were available, and now it's like I'm realizing that sometimes following a particular team kind of sets your appetite or your habits or your expectations for what a team should do. Like watching
Agreed.
the Raptors find all these second round gems and undrafted guys, like for all those years, I took it for granted. I really did. I took it for granted. Like every team can just do this. The Raptors will always do this. And then they didn't do it for like 3-4 years. And I've been pining for it to come back. And now that it's back, like I'm so happy. Like Jamison Battle is freaking awesome.
Yeah.
Like,
and congrats
for
to
a
him for getting
minimum,
a full contract, man. That's awesome.
huge, and he's a Minnesota Hooper. There's a documentary coming to Pendance about Minnesota hoops, and I posted today on Instagram because the director Gabe follows me, and I posted like Jamison Battle, like 3-year contract, standard contract, big deal for an NBA player. I mean, I feel like people don't think about this, but this is a guy who was in college last year who just signed his first major NBA contract. This is life-changing money for him, for his family. This is huge. Like there was no guarantee any of this shit was going to work out. When he went undrafted, he could have just ended up in Europe. No one could give him a chance. Like he stuck, he worked, and him and his trainer have been going so hard. And that director who directed the film about Minnesota hoops, he like immediately messaged me. He's like, "Yo, Minnesota legend." Everyone was rooting for this guy like so hard. So I'm very, very happy for him. Huge pickup for the Raptors.
Agreed, man. Honestly, I think there's going to be a draft day trade with the Raptors with either Quickly or Barrett.
I really wouldn't be surprised to see them both go out in that trade. But yeah, I mean, I really could see it. Like consolidate the two into one. Maybe give up a draft pick to do it. Like just get an upgrade. Maybe Devin Booker will be available. I know the Suns can't consolidate or whatever, so that'll be a really weird trade partner. You have to shuttle it off to a third team. But yeah, man. I mean, BI and Scottie, two playmaking 6'9" forwards with 7'3" wingspan.
7'3" wingspan. Yeah, man. That's crazy.
It is insane.
That's crazy, dude.
Like I was watching this entire clip of BI, like, having scraps with dudes. And he's like towering over James Harden. Towering over Draymond Green. He's such a huge human being. Like you can see it when he stands next. No wonder Josh Lewenberg hates this guy so much. He has to look up to him like that, And I'm just like, I'm looking at him, and there's this one play where he's shoving Domantas Sabonis, and I'm like, they're the same height. They look like they're the same freaking height. Like, like you just don't get big shot makers who have passing abilities. Like I feel like people like hone in on the parts of his game that don't work, and they don't realize in the right system when those things start to like click, and he becomes more team oriented, and he starts to cut, and he starts to space, like, and he plays off of a gifted playmaker like Scottie. Because again, we've seen him with the Drew Holiday and the Lonzo Ball, and we saw what a great player he was in that system. And we were really like thinking, like, I'm sure you were mentioning that you were a big fan of his. Like I was thinking he was next up. Like I was penciling him in for third team All NBA back then. And it just didn't work out that way. Injuries, all that stuff. So I hope the Raptors medical staff have like some magic to work with him.
Best in the league, bro. Best in the league, man.
That's what they tell us. That's what they tell us.
So it's like, honestly, I think it's going to be a good fit. And I think him and Scottie are going to really do good things next year.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, man. Thanks.
A lot of people are hating on it and stuff like that, and like watching a lot of the media and stuff like that was kind of disappointing. I don't know why they're like, "Oh, this is what we got for Pascal," and they're like kind of comparing it for the trade. And I was like, "Come on now."
Well, Brandon Ingram, Jakob Poeltl, Ochai Agbaji. That's a great haul for Pascal.
Right? That's what I'm saying.
When we traded Pascal, who, by the way, it's not just what we got for Pascal. It's what we got for Pascal, knowing full well that he was expiring. Big difference. Okay. Look at what the New Orleans Pelicans just got for Brandon Ingram when he was expiring. So look at what I mean. De'Aaron Fox is not expiring. De'Aaron Fox had two full years left on his contract, and look what the Kings just got for De'Aaron Fox. Like when teams know that you're desperate to sell, you're always going to get lowballed. That always happens. Shit. Look at what the Spurs got for Kawhi.
Right.
Shit, that's what you trade the second best player in the league for. Even if he was quote unquote damaged goods at the time and whatever. Like look at what the Heat just got for Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler just went to 2 finals. Like, I mean, again, like sometimes you get lucky because you're dealing with an idiot organization that's very desperate, and you get 5 first-round picks for Rudy Gobert. Okay, fine. Sometimes that shit happens, right? Or you're working with the fucking Knicks, and then you get 5 first-round picks for Mikal Bridges. I mean, shit.
Even
But
Charlotte, man, like, well, I don't even know what they're doing with that trade with the Lakers. Like, that didn't make no sense to me, but
absolutely. So, I mean, I won't be condescending when I say this, but like typically me and the media have disagreed on several key points over the last 3.5 years. Me and the general media. We disagreed on Scottie. We disagreed on Fred. We disagreed on Fred. We disagreed on Dennis. We disagreed on Davion. We've disagreed very wildly on certain things.
I literally feel bad for Dennis Schroeder, man. Like 5 times this year he got traded. That's crazy, dude.
I don't really feel bad for him, to be honest, but sure. I feel bad for his family. I feel bad for his family, though. But yeah, so I guess what I'm saying is, this Brandon Ingram thing, it could backfire. Certainly, he could be more injured than we realize. He could be very injury prone. He could not buy in, whatever. But I am about 92% certain it's going to work out. And I like to be happy about things that are 92% certain, for me, at least.
No, fair enough. That's a good percentage.
It's a great percentage. It's a great percentage. That's like. Yeah, I was thinking, like, is that better than Steph Curry shoots from a free throw line? I don't think it is, though. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty good. Anyways, man, any final thoughts?
Raps for life, man. That's my final thought.
Raps for life, man. All right,
take care, man. Have a good evening.
Yes, sir. Okay, we're gonna bring Vince on in 2 seconds. Let me just read some super chats here real quick. Zero sum. Hey, even with the injuries, how do you see Scottie becoming a 1.01 point per game driver? Honestly, I think it just has to do with health. I really do. I think it has to do with space and help. So one of the conversations that we were having on playback, sorry, I'm a little bit blurry. Am I clear? Sorry, there's an autofocus function here. So occasionally I will be blurry. I'm not trying to give you a high five. Okay. And I'm pretty sure there's someone out there who's going to freeze frame this and try to read my, entire lifeline based on my hand. Okay, cool. What I'm trying to say is that I can't like explain enough how much the driving angles open up when you actually have proper spacing around you, when you have proper, talent around you, when you have a secondary creator that teams respect. I gave the example on playback of what if Scottie played with like a Steph Curry, because I was trying to, explain like the sort of like why Draymond Green has such wide angles. It's because of the spacing. The Warriors spacing is so elite. It allows players like Andre Iguodala and guys like Andrew Wiggins and stuff like that. So you need pieces to do that. You know what I mean? So when Scottie Barnes is driving to the basket tonight, teams are having to choose between stopping his drive or closing out to Jonathan Mobo for 3. And the other defender, that's the third defender in the gap, he's having to help off of Jamal Shed. I got news for you. Jamal Shed and frankly, Jamal Shed, Scottie Barnes, Jonathan Mobo, none of these players are being contested on threes. It's a very difficult offense. The only players who are positively being guarded on threes, Jamison Battle, Grady Dick, Emmanuel Quickley, Jacoby Walter, in your entire team. RJ's not being really guarded from 3. Barely. See, Jakob is certainly not being guarded from 3. You need more space. I mean, the Raptors are not stupid. They know this about Scottie. They know that the wider his driving angles will be. But sometimes, even if a player isn't a great spacer, if they're just a great player, it provides more space. So I would advise you, Zero Sum, to go look at Scottie's percentages on drives and shots and overall his efficiency, which was north of 60%, when he was playing with Pascal, OG, Dennis, and Yak. And then ask yourself, is Brandon Ingram, RJ Barrett, Emmanuel Quickley, and Jakob Poeltl better than that? And is he better than that player? Because if your answer is yes, then you have your answer here. Pepper Jack, really quickly. When do you think would be the best to convert Chomche? I've been thinking about this myself, man. I really have. And I got to tell you, I was looking at his contract. It's a 2-year contract, so he's not expiring. I think he converts into a second 2-way. I would like to convert him as soon as possible. I feel like he's a clutch client. If he starts playing this year and he starts doing crazy shit, and you just don't know with rim running athletic bigs what they end up doing. If he has 6 blocks in a game or some shit like that, if he just balls out, and has 18 rebounds in a game. And he's perfectly capable of doing it. Yes, even at 19 years old, he's the youngest player in the league. He can do crazy shit like that because he's that type of athlete. I don't wonder how expensive he gets if he gets on someone's radar and people start thinking of him in the same conversations that they have Kalal Warin. Now, maybe he's not that type of player. If he was, maybe he would have been a first round pick. But I feel like this guy's developed so much that he's kind of a secret right now. Maybe a lot of people are not paying attention to what he's doing in the G League. Maybe people are like, he's still raw. He still makes so many mistakes. He's still foul prone, blah, 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 blah. But I would convert him this offseason. I would literally renegotiate a contract. I would try to give him the same sort of like 3-year standard, maybe 2-year standard with an option or something like that. I just want him under team control for longer because you don't know when this guy's going to pop. Now, I understand Masai Ujiri is not a scumbag. I get that. He's going to try to make deals that are fair for the players, but he must remember he works for the Raptors. And the right thing for the Raptors to do is to invest in this kid's future. Frankly, I want him under team control for 3 more years. If at that point he doesn't work out, he doesn't work out. But I have a strong bet that he's going to work out. Final super chat. Where do you think our new healthy starting 5 ranks in the league? I feel like this is a question that Vinsanity can answer better than I can. So let's bring Vince
on. Rob, what's going on, brother?
What's going on? I'm very, very happy to see you. What's up? You haven't called in a long time.
It's good to see you too, man. I know, man. I've been crazy busy. Like I know people aren't here to hear about my background life, but nutshell, I wrote and recorded a record in the last 4 months. So it's been. I've been watching Raps kind of from afar. I've only been to like 2 games all season, and you know, just been catching a couple minutes of your lives here and there, and keeping up on the scuttlebutt, and you know, recently just watching the reactions of the BI trade and stuff like that, and I thought what better time to call in. I had a few minutes tonight, so I saw some people in the comments like saying nice things about me. I was like, I didn't know that I had a fan base through you. That's amazing. Thanks, guys. You guys are the best.
You, Coach Mo, FA, NY4 Raps. Yeah. Like, I feel like those specific 4 callers have really come through with the fan base. I feel like, because y'all are regulars. So I think
that's so nice to hear. That's so nice to hear. I will try to be more of a regular from here on out for sure. But yeah, listen, I don't know if you even give any credence to the takes from the national media. You know, you listen to the Ringer, like any credence, like give it any, like pay any attention to it.
No, I know what credence means. I just wanted to reiterate that. I wanted to stress that word credence.
Oh, right.
I give credence to it? No.
Yeah, like, so did you see the Ringer one with Bill Simmons and Rob Mahoney and one other dude? Shoot, I can't remember the last dude's name. But they were doing their trade deadline rankings, you know, where everybody stood and whatever. Of course, they eviscerate the Raptors, like, which is par for the course. I feel like you need to be like, it's a prerequisite to hate the Raptors if you work for the Ringer, because Bill Simmons hates them. But yeah, I just find it comical. But then if you listen to players, so like Jeff Teague, and then a couple of like the Canadian dudes, any players are just like, I mean, yeah, this is a great get. Brandon Ingram is a very good player. When he's on his game, when he's got a fire under him, he is a fantastic player. And we got him for 2 bench pieces and 1 mid to late round first round pick.
Vince, we got him for a Cowboy and a lacrosse player.
What are we doing here? Are you like, when it was the same thing with Kyrie Irving? Because like he had a whole bunch of issues when he got traded to Dallas. It was like, oh, I don't know if he's going to be good for the team. Is he going to influence Luka in the wrong ways and blah, blah, blah. Like they got him for, I want to say next to nothing, but I think at the time it was like 2 first round picks, and they weren't good first round picks. And I can't remember who the trade fodder was in exchange for him.
Mhm.
But people were just like, oh, this guy can't be trusted. And I'm like, it's Kyrie fucking Irving. You got him for nothing. It's the same thing with BI. Like, you just upgraded your talent pool, right? And to compare him to Pascal, I think is doing the whole team a disservice. They're different players, right? Pascal is one type of player that was, I guess, more similar to Scottie, right? Like he was a sort of a Scottie I see as like the advantage gainer on the team. And while he can finish well around the rim, he's not like the typical play finisher. BI is that, right?
You mean
You tell
shot
me these
creator?
guys won't. What's that?
You said play finisher. You mean shot creator, or do you mean play finisher?
No. So I think BI is both of those things. I think he can be an advantage gainer, and I think that if the defense reacts to Scottie in the post, or the defense reacts to a Scottie Yak pick and roll, right? If that ball is swung to BI, that's a bucket every fucking time. If there's an advantage gain, if Quickly breaks the paint, sprays it out to someone, right, who kicks it to BI, that's a bucket or a foul. It's gonna be like I feel like there's too much overthinking, and the general media consensus, even with the fucking Toronto guys, is like, if you're in a rebuild, you need to trade away all your players and get picks. And if you're trying to build for a winner, you need to trade away your picks and get play. Like, that's not the fucking league we live in, right? That's not reality. Especially if we're in a market like Toronto, right? We're not LA. We can't just get these players out of thin air, right? So you need to win at around the margins. And this is a fucking winning. But Bruce Brown and Kelly Olynyk, I love both of those guys as players. Represent, like, the way they carried themselves, real professional.
Sure.
But guys, we just traded those two guys for an all-star. What are we talking about here? This is a win, straight up.
So
anyway, that's
I mean,
my little rant.
there's a lot to unpack there. I mean, first, I think Brandon Ingram is justifiably a little bit of a perplexing complication in the new CBA. So you ever heard the statement, if it sounds too good to be true, it might be too good to be true?
Sure.
Yeah. So the theory of Brandon Ingram versus the reality of Brandon Ingram is wildly different.
Sure.
So let me play devil's advocate here, because the way these calls work best, I think, is if we're on opposite sides. You have taken the Brandon Ingram is the franchise savior type of position. So let me hold
on. Let me just back off. I don't think he's a franchise savior. I just think that this was a winning move. Yeah, this was a winning move through and through. Right.
I agree this is a winning move. But I also want to throw some caution here, where I say there's a reason he was available too. This has to be addressed on both sides so that people have clear, realistic expectations of what the work is that needs to be done. Again, if I had walked into 2021 on those Facebook groups and being like, guys, this guy, Scottie Barnes, he's going to walk in and be better than frigging Kevin Garnett on day one. Like, I think that's crazy, right? So it's the same thing. Brandon Ingram is not walking in as your best player.
Sure.
100%. Scottie is still your best player. He has deficiencies. He has injury issues. He has shot profile issues. He has efficiency issues. All of those are issues. What the Raptors are hoping is we can make him better in this system. See, Brandon Ingram probably miscast as a first option. I think if you polled most general managers, they would say, is Brandon Ingram the best player on a championship team? They would say no. Could he be a second best player on a championship team? Maybe. Could he be a third best player on a championship team? 100%. 100% he could be the third best player on a championship team. So whereas some people are starting to put him next to Kawhi, I would say chill on that shit. Like, so far off from Kawhi. Right? Scottie is a lot closer to Kawhi, in my opinion, than Brandon Ingram.
Sure.
Brandon Ingram looks more like Kawhi right now because you're focusing in on the part of the game that's smooth. Just like Cade probably looks more like Kawhi to some people.
Yeah.
The rim pressure, the rim finishing, all of these things, the drives, the finishing around the rim, the defense, all this stuff matters. So what I see in Brandon Ingram, as I've mentioned several times through these lives, is a two-part player. Part number one, playing within the system. So within the system, he has Anthony Davis type upside in terms of easy baskets. If you remember my interview with Scottie's trainer, he said Scottie gets easy ones. BI gets easy ones too.
Right.
They both have that special skill where they can get like 12, 14 points just within the offense. Run the
Right.
break, find a pop-up open three, dribble handoff, boom, little mid-range shot, just everything easy, just easy shots. His game is so smooth, so effortless. There's a reason he draws some in comparison to Kobe. And sorry, not Kobe, KD. Then there is the second version of Brandon Ingram, which is, can we make him a more efficient shot creator? So one is, can we make him a different type of player as a role player type, right? But then when we hone in on his star moments, the moments where he has to elevate a bench unit by himself, where he's doing, pick and roll, when he's like last year, he was a dominant pick and roll player, like I think 85th or 86th percentile in terms of usage in that pick and roll. So when he's running a pick and roll with whoever your backup big is, if they're a pop, pick and pop big, even better. But if they're even a vertical, type of, come on, Malowach type guy, if you can get him to handle that usage and sustain those lineups, he'll have plenty of reps to become a better version of the star that he already is. Sure. At which point I could see him becoming like a 23 point per game scorer who maybe gets 5-6 assists within the offense, 5-6 rebounds, maybe a 10 to 15 to 20% better defender, and just like maybe 15% more efficient across the board. We're talking more efficient at the rim because they work with the skill, 15% more healthy because they work on his health. This is the optimization process. I'm not expecting him to become a superstar in Toronto, but I'm also not expecting the Raptors to pay him like a superstar. What I'm saying is, for the talent that you have at 6'9", 7'3" wingspan, 27 years old, there aren't like 10 players in the league like this. You must capitalize. You got two of them now.
Well, I'll ask you a question. Sorry, go on.
Go ahead. No, go.
Would you trade two bench players for a poor man's Jason Tatum right now?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, we just did that. Yeah, literally.
We just did that. That's and that is a winning play. Now, how it affects, like, I think one of the many things that bugs me about how this trade has been seen is that like it's seen as like, okay, now the Raptors are finished. It's not a finished product yet. You're just in the talent accumulation phase, right? Part of it is still going through with the tank this year, see who they get, and God forbid we get Cooper Flag. All right, fuck. Are you kidding me? How good this team is going to be?
You and I will never be able to attend another game again.
It's just going to be crazy.
It'll be $18,000 and like 12 Bitcoin to get into one game. Just to get into the
I think they can only raise my season ticket price by so much, if I'm not mistaken. So don't worry. You and I will be.
I would read the fine print. They added in white ink at the bottom. If we get Cooper Flag, fuck you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Whatever. I'll pay double. I don't give a shit. I'll pay double.
We will have people coming in from like here's the thing. I know to follow the money. I'm smart enough and old enough at this point in my life to, generally speaking, with most people, just follow the money. If you want to understand their motivations, if you want to understand their incentives to do things, follow the money.
Sure.
Well, the Raptors media want a media circus. It's good for business. It's good for ads. It's good for revenue. It's good for views. It's good for clicks. It's good for stories. Cooper Flag to Toronto is the biggest story that hasn't been written yet. And taking that sort of bone out of their mouth, even remotely, is such a sour note for them because they don't believe that Scottie can lead to anything meaningful in Toronto. That's why they wanted Scottie gone for, KD, because KD would have been the media circus.
Right.
If right now, I'm gonna tell you right now, Josh Lewenberg becomes general manager for a day. Oh God.
Oh my God, get it.
I
That
want
guy
to.
is so I can't stand. He's I think my number one most hated one is Josh Lewenberg. But sorry, go on.
There's so many candidates for that spot, but yes, he definitely is up there. Like literally, this dude on the first day, hey, ring ring, rival general manager, you be the rival general manager, ring ring.
Okay, hi, hey, what's up, Josh?
You got any players under 6 feet tall?
Do I?
We're looking for players under 6 feet tall. You got any?
Yeah, let me see. I've got Jose Alvarado over here.
I'll give you 6 first-round picks for Jose Alvarado right now. Okay, Seven.
That's funny.
You're not answering me. You want to swap? I'll give you a swap. Okay, cool. Okay, so
Done.
basically, this
twist my arm, Josh.
This dude is nuts. Okay, so what I say is, if right now, if Josh Lewenberg could, he probably would trade Scottie Barnes for LeBron James.
Right. Sure.
Right. Like,
right.
Because it would be such a big deal.
Sure.
And big deals are good for the media. Now, obviously, as a diehard
lots
fan,
to write on in TSN.
Absolutely. Now, I can give a shit less about what to write about. I will write about Jamison Battle. Jamison Battle. I'll make sure the world knows about Jonathan Mobo. But these guys don't care about these guys because they don't pay their fucking bills. And they are staring down the barrel of ChatGPT and the dollar and just this like cascading. You know what I mean? Like if you're a general media member, you need to look at like 18 things closing in around you at all times. You know, the economy, there's like the decline of viewership, attention span.
Yeah.
There's, and now
the dip in NBA popularity.
That too. And now you've got the team that you're covering, like losing viewership, losing interest. Of course you're upset. Of course you're upset. You cannot possibly be patient about this. But the Raptors cannot think this way.
Right.
Internally. And Darko cannot think this way. And Scottie cannot think this way. The people who actually have influence on this organization can never think the way the media can. And so in a weird way, a season like this almost puts the two sides at completely at counterpoints.
Totally.
Because their objectives are completely different. One side's objective is to find relevance. The other one's is to find substance.
Sure.
And it's completely, it's not compatible. And so, and once a day, the people who are trying to find relevance must interview the people who are trying to find substance.
Right.
And it's just oil and water all the time. Right. So
whatever, man. You know what? Real ones like you are not about that life. You report the facts as they come. And I haven't been keeping score, but I'm gonna hazard to guess that your overall record of predictions with the Raptors and their development has been far more accurate than any of theirs, right? And like you see it with Scottie now, right? Like he's having a bit of a tough stretch with everybody missing, him being the number one guy, having to force 25 shots a game. Like, it's just they've almost put him in. I feel like they've almost put him in a losing situation. Or not even a losing situation, just like they're at a point where they're saying, go out and see what you can do at this point. We're going to live with the result, right? Mm-hmm. Make or miss. We're going to live with the result. Let's see what you can do, right? Develop your game to the best of your ability. If we lose, it's pay no mind, right? We obviously, we don't want to develop that as a culture, right? Mm-hmm. But they're not stupid. The players aren't stupid. They see what's going on, right? Sure. They know that once I'm also going to bet that if by the end of the year, with 10 games remaining, if the lottery balls are more or less set, we're going to be in that 5th, 6th, 7th spot around there. And at the last 10 games don't really matter in terms of deviation from that spot, I'll bet you they're going to rattle off some wins. Right, I think you're assuming BI actually comes back, plays. We get to see him with the team. They get to develop a little bit of chemistry together. I'm not saying it's bound to happen. I think there's a lot of ifs in there. I have no idea what
I mean,
what
this is gonna be a tough. It's gonna be tough for the Raptors to lose games. I mean, if you watch tonight's game, the players that would theoretically be getting minutes in those situations were the ones who were successful tonight. They were the ones who were taking care of the basketball. They were the ones who were chasing for loose balls. They were the ones who were attacking the rim, hitting their shots. If Jacoby and Grady and Jonathan Mobo and Ulrich and Jamal Shed are meant to lose games against Washington, I got news for you. They're not going to lose games against Washington. And that's such a credit to your development staff. Like, I think timing is everything in life. Would you agree?
Sure is.
Absolutely.
Everything.
Go ahead.
If I would have met my wife 10 years prior, there's no chance she would ever stayed with me. Ever.
You know, it's funny. My girlfriend and I have known each other since we were 21. We didn't start dating until we were 32.
Right. Well,
those 11 years were very, very important to us kind of getting to know ourselves and then coming to this point where I think we could actually meet. I do think timing is everything in life. I think timing of everything, you know, earlier in the off season, I was the person saying bye on Cam Johnson. The timing was off, right? Maybe the price wasn't right. Maybe the Raptors explored it, but the price wasn't right. Then I said, look at Devin Booker. A couple of days ago, I think before the trade deadline, I was like, wouldn't it be crazy if the Raptors traded for Devin Booker? And again, in both situations, I'm saying buy when everyone is expecting you to sell.
Right.
And then they end up going for Brandon Ingram. And they were in, at least from what I've heard on De'Aaron Fox, they called about him. I think they called about Zach LaVine, maybe potentially explored it. I think they called about De'Aaron Fox. Devin Booker, if the Suns were to make him available. And I think they called about Brandon Ingram. And I think they took what Brandon Ingram was and he said, hey, he's younger than all these other players. He's in a bad situation, in a bad context. Let's see what we can get from him, because all those other players were going to cost you a boatload of assets. And I feel like if the media is mad about what they gave up for Brandon Ingram, you don't even want to think about what they were going to give up for Devin Booker or De'Aaron Fox, because it was going to be much more than this. And in all honesty, if you tell me for the next 2 years that Brandon Ingram has a better 2 years than De'Aaron Fox, I'm a little surprised, but I'm not that surprised, because he has that type of upside. So I don't know. I think the media is sort of boxed in, and I don't want to throw all the media, because there are some good dudes, you know, like some good dudes. I mean, I feel there's some good dudes here, right?
Yeah.
Eric Kareem generally seemingly has a good head about him. Louis Zatzman, you know, generally speaking.
I like Louis. I like Wolfond as well.
Sure. And you know, also, who was I going to say? Who was I going to pay a compliment to right now? Not Grange, not Lewinberg, not
Grange. Oh my God.
Not Smith. Who was I about to? Oh, Blake Murphy. I mean, he generally speaking, like, I mean, I really enjoy the Raptors show. I mean, to be honest, I do. I'll watch it occasionally. I listen to it occasionally. Him and Matt have a great banter. So I can say positive things about the other media. I mean, I don't have to be like, you know, but what bothers me more than anything is when people who clearly are deficient in their understanding of a subject, so wildly, obviously deficient, want to offer very strong criticism. Now, Vince, how long have you been studying music?
Since I was 8 years old.
Okay. So 65 years. Perfect. All right. So imagine I, who have studied music for about 2 days of my life and am not necessarily musically talented in any meaningful way whatsoever, other than bar night karaoke, where I can rock it a little bit.
Yeah.
Decided to offer you like real deep critical insight into your tone and like, you know, I don't think you're hitting that note right. You know, like maybe you want to move your hand a little bit there on the guitar. I think you might smash that guitar over my head. And be like, are you nuts? I mean, you're not. You wouldn't do that because you're a nice guy. But like, I mean, I would, because honestly, like, and that's kind of like where I was on the playback stream tonight, because I was talking to this guy and he was just like going back and forth about like, what are the Raptors doing with this development? And it's like, you got to take the shots that you're going to take. And I was just like, fuck, shut up. Like, I am losing my mind here. I'm screaming because I'm mad. I'm mad that we are in a society where people can watch couple of YouTube videos and think they know more than industry professionals who've devoted 35 years to this. You know how humbling it was to talk to some of the Raptors coaches. Every time I'm in their presence, I'm always like I forget that I'm 30 plus, and I just go right back to being 13. My first time meeting a head coach in the NBA, and I just become like so in awe of their expertise and their knowledge and their acumen and their pedigree and the work that they put in. You know, I'm consistently learning. The day that I say I know everything about basketball, I'm dead. Like I should just quit right then and there. I'll be learning till the day that I'm dead. You know when I knew that Scottie was in such a great place and Jacoby's in such a great place. Those two players specifically now, and also Ulrich. Like the reason that I know they're in such a great place is because I know the people around them are such learners of the game. Like when I was talking to Brian, like there was like a real ping pong and back and forth, and like he knows 1,000 times more about development and skill work than I do. And he's still trying to learn like elements of the game that he might be picking up. And I was just like, man, Scottie's in such great hands with this guy because there's no ego about him whatsoever. He doesn't walk in like, yo, I've trained this NBA player and that NBA player, and I'm so cool. And no, man, there's none of that because that shit is the antithesis of success in the world. And I'm pretty sure if you had a conversation with Darko Rajakovic, it wouldn't be condescending at all. There would be no condescension at all because he's so secure in his work.
He's a real one.
He is. He listens to players like he was. You know, when I went to the Raptors open house for coaches, I snuck in there as a coach.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it was nice.
Come on.
And pardon?
How'd you get away with that?
I mean, they don't ask for any verification, so I feel like I'm committing. You know, so I just said I'm a private coach.
Flash your YouTube.
Yeah. And I was sitting there with a sea of coaches, and Darko was like directly speaking to like the next generation of coaches, and Jamo was doing the same. And I just thought it was so beautiful how at some point they said, who do you really like admire? Who do you really look up to? And he's like, well, I really like admire my players. Like I listen to my players, and you know, they're the ones that are out there. They're the ones seeing things. So I'm constantly asking them, like, what are you seeing? What did you see on this play? Why did you make this decision? Not in an accusatory sense, but really just trying to understand their brains. Because, you know, and I always go back to that story with Mikal Bridges, where he met Mikal Bridges as an assistant for the Phoenix Suns, and he would say hi to him for like 2 straight months, and he knew his jump shot was wacky as fuck. But he just kept saying, hi, Mikal, how are you? And he would just watch him shoot for hours and hours. And then eventually, after 2 months, after they had a bit of a rapport, that's when he suggested the first tweak. And I was like, this guy really gets it. So again, that's nice. I say this: the Raptors are in professional hands, man. This is a team that really, really understands like how to put pros in pro positions. And then, you know, if you ever want to see like a really, really bad organization, I feel like it's the organization where one person sort of, generally an egomaniac, sort of supersedes people, micromanages people, like the Vivek Ranadive. You know, the Stauskas. We need Stauskas. It's like, bro, you got a room full of scouts. You got a general manager. You fucking coach your daughter's fucking peewee team, and you're sitting here like Stauskas. This is what we need to do. That dude is fucked. And I'll tell you right now, and I said it back then, and I'll say it again. As long as that dude runs the Sacramento Kings, nothing good will happen in Sacramento. Even the light the beam stuff, it's probably because he just kind of let go. But then the minute they lost last year, boom, you see all the impulsive, stupid decisions come right back. DeMar DeRozan, Zach LaVine. And it's just like, nah, I can't. So that's where I'm like, you know, I really trust this organization to work because they put players that Masai Ujiri is not calling Darko every day like, okay, I need you to do this. This is for Grady. Like they hired this guy to put him in a position to lead. You know, he's learning as much as they're learning. You know, so yeah,
it's really refreshing just to see like when you have guys like that who are the leaders of your team being led by coaches like Darko and Jama, who by like I've never been in a room speaking with them one-on-one, but I've heard them in conversation with the media, with the players, that sort of thing. Went out to this fan appreciation day last week, brought my kid and my wife. We just you know, had a good time at that. And you can just tell by Jama addressing the players and addressing the crowd, there's a real joie de vivre that permeates through both of them. So and I believe Jam is like the first assistant, like the lead assistant of it. Am I right about that?
In terms of seniority, I mean, you could probably put
Right.
him and Pat Delaney in that conversation. Yeah.
Okay. But those are the guys that you want. It doesn't come across as phony, right? Like you can tell they're basketball lifers. They really know what they're talking about. But on a human level, those are the guys that you want leading. Guys like Scottie, guys like IQ and BI in this case is RJ even like, I think they're in really good hands. I think most media members don't really know anything about what they're talking about, and not to say that this is a slam dunk. It's going to work out for sure. Knock on wood. BI's injuries come to light again next year, then how good is it going to be? Probably not very good. But
Sure.
assuming health, I
Right.
think it's going to work great. And
Well, I mean, Vince, look at it this way: when you traded for Kawhi Leonard, did you know he was going to be healthy? No, you didn't know.
Exactly.
You do your due diligence. You look at his medicals. You talk to the team. You talk to his uncle, his agent, obviously before pulling the final trigger on that deal, and you get an idea of what the medicals look like, and that's it. And then you cross your feet, you cross your toes, you cross
Yeah.
your fingers, you pray to God that he doesn't break down in the playoffs. And by the way, he almost did.
Yeah.
That dunk against Milwaukee nearly ended his playoffs. I
Oh,
remember
yeah.
that. So, and he wasn't himself after that. And you limped to the finish line. But it's a war of attrition, and the Raptors did it well. But they put themselves in the position to win a championship. And had Kawhi, I mean, God forbid, just torn his Achilles instead of KD in that moment.
Yep.
You don't win a championship. He's done.
I'm done. Yep.
And that's what I'm saying. This is luck. So the calculated chances, right? No, like people want sure things. There's no sure things in sports. There's no sure things in sports. You draft Ace Bailey tomorrow. He's playing in the summer. Same shit that happened to Chet Holmgren happens to him. Liz Frank injury, boom, out for the season.
Sure.
And you don't even know how hard he works to get back from it. You don't know if he ever gets back from it. Some players don't come back from it for a year and a half. So it's like, now what happens to the money that you owe him, his development, his career? It's just all over with what? One step? This is a luck. Okay.
Yeah.
It's the same thing, but you take as an organization, like I think loser organizations try to go for like 100% home run rate. You never hit 100%. What you do is you try to gather as much data as possible. You put the best people in position to make those decisions with that data. You should test yourself by creating an organization where dissent of opinions is possible. Real deliberation, real debate, real pushback. You want leaders. Genuinely, you want leaders who invite discussions. You want, the worst thing in the world is that Masai Ujiri is the type of personality where everyone just cowers and agrees with him. That would be the worst. I've often wondered why directors do their best work in their late 30s, early 40s. I've thought about it from the neuroscience perspective of maybe, that's when the brain is sharpest. But so many directors fall off so hard after their mid 40s when they become big. And one time I asked a very, very accomplished famous director this, who I won't name, and he said, it's because people just stop being comfortable disagreeing with you.
Yes man syndrome.
Yeah.
Right.
And you kind of lose that creative push, and you also become a little bit blind to your own success, and you forget that, hey, when I was winning that Oscar, I had a team with me that was comfortable disagreeing with me, and they inputted into that. I may have won the Oscar for best director or best actor, but I had people who helped me achieve that. The humility that must always be there, obviously, is that to repeat the success, you must repeat the process. And too many people divorce the success from the process and just assume, well, the success is inevitable, the success is taken for granted, and that's how they lose their success. So I wonder personally if Masai Ujiri had a moment like that 4 years ago, 3 years ago with and where he just thought everything I do is going to touch is going to be gold, and then he watched this entire thing fall apart. And I think right now he's just cooking. I think he's cooking on overdrive, because frankly, as much as we can say about Norman Powell and Fred VanVleet, and these players were still spaced out over 2 years, 3 years, you
Right.
know?
Mm-hmm.
You didn't just
Yeah.
walk into a weak draft and say, okay, 19th pick, home run. 31st pick,
Sure.
home run. 45th
Sure,
pick,
sure.
home run. Undrafted, home run. 57th, a home run. You know? I mean, you know what's funny? The 6th rookie that we had on our roster this year was Brandon Carlson. He was our 6th rookie, and he's getting minutes in OKC right now.
He's still kind of good. He's still kind of good.
He's okay. He backed down Grady for 1 shot. Come on, man. Is there any rookie that we kept that you would prefer Brandon Carlson over?
No.
Okay, cool.
No,
so he
no
was
way.
the 6th. He was the 6th.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Oh my God.
Just still, he's still kind of good.
Our 6th.
You know what?
Come on. Our 6th best rookie, who's 25 years old, is the big regret. Then we've done a very good job. Okay.
It's a testament that he's still kind of good that he's on OKC right now.
I think it's a testament to how well the Raptors scouted this draft.
Totally.
And here's the thing. I think they've scouted the 2025 draft even better.
Even better, sure.
I wonder if the reason that they were so great with the 2024 draft is because they stressed the 2025 draft so much that in the context of watching Jacoby at Link, like maybe watching, I don't know, Cooper Flagg or watching AJ DeBonsa and Ace Bailey and all these guys, that in the context of over scouting the 2025 draft and the 2026 draft, that they almost like filled in the gaps of 2024 and we're familiar with these players from a youth level. Because the minute you lose Fred VanVleet, I think organizationally you have to turn everything over to the draft. You have to like really get your, you need to roll up your sleeves and get your knees, dirty and shit. And you need to get in the door. So yeah, I think they're doing a great job. Yeah.
I think I think that if they end up getting like the 3rd, 4th, 5th pick, I think there's some potential of like some serious holy shit happening.
Like going off the board.
You know what? What's that?
Like going off the board?
Well, yeah, like not. Let's say the 3rd overall pick is, everybody thinks Ace Bailey is going to be the 3rd overall pick, maybe. If they get 3rd and they draft like Demon or someone else, I wouldn't be surprised. Not necessarily. I know nothing about this draft coming up. No, nothing. I know a few names here and there. So I don't know if that's even at all a potential scenario. But like Ben Seraph, I don't know, someone like that. I don't know if he's any good. But if they end up picking him over like VJ Edgecombe or something like that, and everybody loses their fucking shit because of it, I wouldn't be surprised. But
I'll tell
at
you
the
one
same
person
time,
who won't be losing their shit over it, me, because there has never been a draft other than the 2021 draft where I trust the Raptors to make the right pick more than this draft. Like whoever they pick, even if it's my 8th pick and they're picking him 4th, I'm gonna immediately be like, okay, chill. I'm not gonna be mad about this because this team, if you watch Bobby's presser today, like they're all in on this draft. They're all in on this draft. Like
they know what's going on.
They know this draft. So yeah, I mean, it's not to say they can't make a mistake. They can totally make a mistake just because like they hit on Scotty Barnes, just because they hit on most of their draft picks recently. Touch wood, doesn't mean that they can't draft James Wiseman. It's just this organization has kind of shown themselves to be above making stupid mistakes like that. So typically you trust it, you know?
Yeah. How much do you think Ime Udoka wishes that he got Scotty in the draft now as opposed to Jalen Green?
I mean, in fairness, he is coaching a better team. And those players were drafted well before he took the job. So,
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that is true. But knowing
like Scotty was already like in his 2nd year when he took the job.
Sure. Knowing his coaching style and knowing how defense is a priority for him. I think if we were to call the Rockets right now and offer Scotty for Green, they would be tripping over themselves trying to make that trade. And
I think if they called and tried to make that trade, I would hang up on them so fast. But if they wanted to make that trade, I would demand Amen Thompson, Reed Shepherd, and like 4 first-round picks be involved in it.
I do
And I would,
love me some Amen.
and then I would
love
agree
Amen
to
Thompson.
it. And then right before I'm supposed to like sign on it, I'd be like, haha, just kidding. Yeah.
Anyway, man, listen, I think that it wasn't surprising at all that you were pro this deal. Like I knew for sure you were going to be up for it. Oh yeah, this is a good thought process right here. School me right now. What's going on with these guys? I know the first 3 dudes, and that's it.
Yeah, so I mean, Cooper's been going nuts. I feel like I need to see that comparison change from Andre Kirilenko plus to Scottie Pippen. I think he needs a different set of comparisons there for sure. Dylan Harper's been balling. Ace Bailey has really, really turned a corner recently. I mean, I shudder to think like what would the outlook be with Brandon Ingram, Scottie Barnes, and Ace Bailey? Like, what are we talking about? Like, you really are talking about one of the biggest friggin' teams in NBA history now. Like, you're talking about like 3 guys who are like borderline 6'10" at the wing, at the guard. Like, what the fuck? Like, he would be coming off the bench for sure for a little while, but he actually replicates a lot of Brandon Ingram's game. Like, he's very Brandon Ingram-esque. So I will never understand the people who are sitting here saying Ace Bailey, Brandon Miller, and then they're like upset about Brandon Ingram. I'm just like, what's wrong with y'all? Anyways, VJ Edgecombe, just a fantastic athlete, just and his offensive game is rounding into form as well. Trey Johnson, I'm very behind on his scouting, but Kaspar Siakishonis has really driven up the draft boards. Like, he started out the draft cycle at like 19th, 18th.
Okay.
And he is just a really good. I mean, his defense has been much better. I think his ball skills are so impressive. Great outside shot. Like, overall, he has like point guard, shooting guard. Like, I'm not sure like what a good comparison would be, but like because I'm trying not to compare him to like a European player, but every player I think of is a European player, so I'll just probably come back to that. Jaeger Demon, big playmaker. I don't know if he's a point guard at the NBA level. He's been playing point guard for BYU. It'd be funny if he stayed another year and he played, next to AJ DeBonsa and just ran like a great team with BYU next year. But he's probably not going to be 7th. I have a feeling he's going to fall farther than 7th. I feel like I could see him as high as 9, 10, 12 range. In terms of that,
it's a little scary seeing guys. So like Trey Johnson, I think his comps were Richard Hamilton and Alec Burks. Like, that is a big gulf between those 2 players.
Well, what they do is they give you the sort of upside downside. And
I see.
I mean, Cooper Flag, Andre Kirilenko plus Scottie Pippen. It's just like, okay, great. Like, those are 2 great players. If Andre Kirilenko plus, ball skills and, the ability to dribble the way that he can and create, like, it's interesting.
Could it be Scottie Pippen with a better shot? Like, is that possible?
I mean, his shot
pretty
is actually
fucking amazing player.
You know what's funny? If you look at the top of this draft, this guy right here and this guy right here have a lot in common with Scottie Barnes and Brandon Ingram. A lot. Right. In fact, I think Cooper Flag has a lot in common with Brandon Ingram as well. Even just the motion of how he gets into a shot is very, very Ingram-esque. Kaman falling to 15 is probably what makes the Raptors really hopeful, because I think Kaman and Derek will be really, really, really high on the Raptors board. I have a feeling these 2 right here, I think they know Kaman Malawach really well. I think they have more insight into his camp. And, he's just been so efficient. Just, if they believe the shooting is real, if they believe he can be healthy, if they believe they can coach him up, like, there's no reason they wouldn't take him at 8, 9, whatever. Like, I think he's great.
If they fall to that, do you think there's any possibility that they, if they get top 4 and get one of those top 4 guys, that they try to trade into the 15th, 16th pick? Like, part with someone on their team, part with an Emmanuel quickly to pick up Malawak?
It's Malawach, and yeah, I mean, you said Ben Saraf. Like, I actually really like him too. So, I mean,
Yeah.
there's plenty of talent in this draft, and it's not just the first round. It is right down. Nolan Traore is very interesting to me. Like, with Darko's ability to work with twitchy, playmakers, like this
Mhm.
guy could be a steal. He could also be a really big bust. We don't know.
Right.
We'll see how the shot rolls out. But even if you look at the second round, I actually know a couple players in the second round, which is kind of cool. But yeah, but Colin Murray Boyles at 31 would be crazy to me. Like, he just fits so well into how the Raptors like to play as a playmaker, defender. I could so easily see him being like an early 20s steal. But here he is at 31, according to NBA Draft Room.
Right.
Dink is so talented, like I can see him being on a two-way contract with the Raptors. You're actually going to be able to see him at the Rising Stars game. So that'll be interesting. And Rocco Zakarski. Like, I think, this is just very interesting. The Ivisic brothers, like, it's just very interesting draft. Like, there's so much talent here.
Do we have any other second round picks besides our own?
No, and I was really hoping at this
Mm.
draft deadline that we would acquire another one. Unfortunately, we acquired a 2026 Lakers second round pick, so that kind of sucks.
Right.
But yeah, I really want us to get more into this draft. And I know it sounds stupid because we have already all these young players. Like, how many more of these guys can you have? But man, like, this draft is so much better than the last draft. It is actually shocking. There are
Right.
guys that are mocked at 31 here that I swear would have gotten the lottery last year. Colin Murray Boyles would have gotten the lottery last year, 100%. Like, he was in conversations at 10, 11, 12. He was coming out. That's why we were all kind of shocked that he didn't come out. And now he's
Sure.
at 31. Like, Kaman Malawach would have been in contention for like a top 3 pick last year. He might have been the number 1 pick, and they got him at 15 right now. The gap in
Wow.
these two drafts is so large that the fact that if you're a Raptor fan, you got to see what your team just did with the last draft. Yo, if they can do anything remotely similar with this draft,
Sure.
cook, And I mean, it's like, you got two-way spots, and some of the guys you have on those two-way spots, Orlando Robinson, these guys are not guaranteed contracts next year.
Right.
So you have a real chance here because the contract value is the same. Whether you draft a first overall pick in 2024 or 2025, they get paid the same.
Right.
That's actually very important to realize. So what I was hoping was that they would find maybe a late first at the deadline for Chris Boucher, maybe even a swap. Like, I would have been comfortable with it. Maybe like, taking the Indiana pick. Nah, I wouldn't be comfortable with that because I really like the 2026 draft class as well. That's what I'm trying not to think about too much, because I was really happy the Raptors had 2 first round picks in the 2026 draft. And I was like, in my head, I was just like, they're going to trade one of these picks. Might as well trade it for Cam Johnson. That's why I was thinking earlier in the season, trade a pick and Bruce Brown for Cam Johnson. And then
Right.
Cam Johnson's balling out of his friggin' mind.
Right.
But yeah, just going into the season, I just had a feeling like, some people, you ever met those people that the second they get paid their paycheck, they have to spend something on something? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
My mom used to call those people, she used to say the money is burning a hole in their pocket.
Right. Sure.
Draft picks are like that to Masai Ujiri.
Sure.
They're just burning a hole in his pocket. He's like, we have these draft picks. Why are they just sitting here? We have to trade it. So I was just like, shit. Yeah.
I was hoping we got 2 draft picks for Davion, right? 2 seconds?
No, 1.
Oh, wasn't that 2?
Oh,
Are you sure about that?
Are you talking about with Davion or for Davion?
No. When we traded for Davion,
we got 2.
I think we got 2, and then we got another 1 on the way out from Miami.
Correct.
Right. So that's the money ball right there. You essentially created 3 second round draft picks out of thin air right there for moving around some money.
That is true. And
right.
And like, at least in theory, that Portland one was valuable. And if things fall apart in Lakerland, which they probably won't, but let's just assume they do, it could be a very valuable in 2026 as well. The Raptors are betting on the failure of the Portland Trailblazers and the Lakers. And I know that, Laker fans and, Portland fans will never understand why I'm rooting against their team to improve the Raptors' second round pick.
Sure,
Please
sure.
understand, I'm very obsessed with this drafting concept. You know, like I've always been obsessed with the draft. I love scouting the draft. I'm not kidding. I was looking it up. I made a draft website in 2002.
Wow.
In the earliest days of the internet. I was trying to make a draft website, and I had Chris Bosh coverage on the ABCD camp, Carmelo Anthony at Oak Hill, and you know, me as like, I don't know, 14, 15, 16-year-old Rob, 15-year-old Rob was like writing little articles about what Chris Bosh was doing back then. It's really funny to me just to look back on that and just see how obsessed I've always been with this concept of the draft, you know,
Right.
like getting it right, knowing which players what. It's very fun to me.
It's
Very
pretty
fun.
amazing. It's very entertaining for sure. I mean, there are full on like those. There are YouTube pages that are dedicated simply to drafts, and that's what they do 24/7.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
I would like. Does that page still exist? Can I ring that up right now?
No.
No. Okay,
No.
you stripped it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
I want to read 15-year-old Rob's takes on Melo.
Chris Bosh. So
Yeah.
basically what it was it wasn't a live website. So what we did in our computer science class was we built web pages. Literally, like we built websites offline.
Nice.
So that's the website that I had built offline, and I had stored parts of it on a thumb drive.
That's
so
awesome.
Yes. Yeah. It was terrible analysis. I just want to be clear about that. It was horrible. I had nothing of offer. I had compared Chris Bosh to exactly who everyone else had compared Chris Bosh to. He is a hybrid of what did I say? I said he is a hybrid of I am impressed with one thing though. So I said he's a hybrid of Kevin Garnett and Tim Duncan. Okay, so way off on that. Really fell low. Those
Take it easy, 15-year-old Rob.
Yeah. And what else did I say? Rounded shoulders will make it hard for him to put on weight. And I was like, damn, 15-year-old Rob, you got that right. He definitely did not put on weight. So good for you.
He tried. Well, there was one year that we were just like, oh, okay, CB, you're looking a little
in Toronto.
Yeah.
The audition year for Miami.
Yep, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Wasn't meant to be. That's all right. We got our chip, and he wasn't. He had nothing to do with it. So
I got to tell you, like, I mean, the one thing I remember is how much I loved Carmelo Anthony. Like, I really like. You would think as a Serbian person that I was just sitting there like, Darko Milicic will be the best player in the world, but I had seen Darko actually play basketball many times, and I did not believe that he was going to be better than Carmelo Anthony. And I just remember thinking how much I loved Carmelo, and the Raptors walked into that draft. Vince Carter there. Do you remember this? Vince Carter walks into the draft lottery. To anyone out there who's maybe a newer Raptor fan, let me take you through a little bit of Raptor history. So the Raptors walk in to the most hyped draft class, a draft class that has been basically on the cover of Slam magazine and on the cover of everything. And they walk in with the third best odds to get LeBron James. Third best. Okay. So you're thinking, and what's crazy is not only the Raptors, there was a team, the Memphis Grizzlies, that had, unfortunately, due to I believe the Otis Thorpe trade, traded their first round pick that year to the Detroit Pistons. And it was top 1 protected.
Wow. I didn't even think they had protections back then.
They did. So Jerry West was representing, if I recall correctly, Jerry West was representing the Memphis Grizzlies, and he sat there knowing that he was either going to get LeBron James or absolutely nothing. I don't remember if they had the second best odds or the 6th best odds, but they basically walked in with top 1 protected pick. And everyone was thinking Jerry West, the logo, somehow the league is going to rig this for Jerry West to keep his friggin' pick.
Sure.
Vince Carter was the representative for the Raptors. He's sitting there. Team has just had a disastrous season. He's in the midst of a lot of losing. And there was actually talk at the time of a guy named Pavel Podkolzin. Do you remember this?
Do not.
7'4" Russian big man that Glenn Grunwald was just obsessed with.
Oh, God.
I know. And all of the Pavel Podkolzin talk, Russian big man. Raptors desperately need a center. This is
Sure.
before Rafael Arujo became a Raptor. Fuck. And the corpse of Hakeem Olajuwon was gone.
Mhm.
And the Raptors were desperately, trying to put a big man to replace Antonio Davis. And Pavel Podkolzin on a lot of mock drafts was actually ahead of Chris Bosh. And Dwayne Wade, mind you, was like 12th, 13th, 14th, So the Raptors walk in with the third best odds. And I'm thinking to myself, I've been preparing for months for us to get either the first pick, the second pick, or the third pick, thinking that we're walking in with top 3 odds. What could happen? What's the worst that could happen? We're walking in with top 3. The league owes us for not giving us Allen Iverson in 1996.
Sure.
And then the deputy commissioner opens up the envelope with number 4, Toronto Raptors. I will never forget Vince Carter's face. But more importantly, I will never forget my face. My mom came into the room and she's like, "Who died?" I was so sad that we had missed out on Carmelo Anthony, because I thought at worst case, we're going to get Carmelo Anthony to pair with Chris Bosh. Pair with Vince Carter. And it's going to be this amazing thing. And immediately reports surfaced that Vince wanted the Raptors to move the 4th overall pick. So that created a very awkward thing. But then the Raptors, of course, they went with Chris Bosh, and the Heat, who really wanted Chris Bosh, by the way, ended up settling for Dwayne Wade.
Sure.
So that's a little bit of history, which is 100% true for
Did D-Wade go 5th? Is that what it was?
Yes, he did.
Wow.
And prior to the draft cycle, before the workouts, before the Heat, really identified D-Wade, it was TJ Ford, Kirk Heinrich, and Chris Kaman who were being talked about as a 5th pick. Ironically, the Raptors very seriously considered Chris Kaman back then over Chris Bosh. Oh God, yes.
Chris Caveman.
Dude, like this was 2003. You take the biggest player. This is just normal. Michael Candy, So the Raptors really, they identified Bosh's shooting talent. They thought, he could be a star, and they were right. Like, he became a star.
Man, if you think about it, like, how long did it take for Chris Bosh to be good? Was he good in his second year? Maybe third?
I think Vince was traded in his second year, and most of us was wondering. I mean, define good. Good enough to be a playoff number 1. He never got
not playoff number 1. Just good enough so that if Vince stuck around, they would have still had a squad. Right? Like, if Vince just had a bit more patience, like, I don't blame Vince for leaving, given the front office turnover, the coaching turnover. It just wasn't a stable environment for a guy like Vince Carter to play in. So I get it at this point. But had he stayed, him and CB could have developed into something.
I think so too. Maybe never the dynamic duo that Vince and Tracy could have developed into, but certainly something. Because he went over to New Jersey to play with Nenad Krstić and Jason Kidd and Richard Jefferson. Richard Jefferson's reaction to the trade was hilarious, and I was of course very familiar with the New Jersey area. I was really happy to hear that he was traded to New Jersey, because that meant at least I could occasionally go back home, and my family is living in the New Jersey and New York areas. Like, we're spread around the tri-state area, so I was like, great, I can go back home and watch Vince play. And then I was like, ugh, New Jersey, East Rutherford. I don't want to go there. Shit. So anyways, but Vince was traded, and Richard Jefferson, like, when he found out Vince Carter was coming to the Nets, he's like, fuck, I guess I'm going to the Raptors.
Yep.
And they're just like, hang on, buddy.
Yeah.
He's like, what did they trade?
Aaron, the two Williamses, Aaron Williams and Eric Williams.
Till this day, the most interesting fact about Aaron Williams and Eric Williams is that they're both 6'9".
Right. That's about it.
So they started. They were the original start of Vision 6'9".
Project 6'9". Yeah, sure.
They were official Vision 6'9". They were the pioneers of Vision 6'9". But as you know, most startups fail initially. So yes.
Sure. Do you ever have this fantasy? Like, I feel like everyone's done this at some point in their life. They have this fantasy where they can go back in time. knowing what they know for like sports, for betting, for me, for music. Like, you know, if I could go back in time, I'd be like, oh, I really like this song by this one hit wonder band. I'm gonna write that before before they come along, so that I whatever. So one of my fantasies from going back in time is somehow working my way into the Raptors organization at that time and just convincing Vince Carter and Tracy McGrady, like, I am from the future. If you guys stick around, you will be LeBron and D Wade before LeBron and D Wade. You
And
don't
they'd
know
be like, who are LeBron and D Wade?
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, well, let me tell you about the
You will
internet.
know about them. Yeah.
You will definitely know, and you will remember me.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you know, I didn't accept reality for a very long time. 2000 NBA 2K5 came out. NBA 2K6 came out. Vince was on the Nets. Every time I'd pick up my game, I would trade him back to the Raptors. I just played for a couple of years there. He was just a Raptor for me, you
That's
know. And then
funny.
eventually I moved on. You know, when the Raptors had some success in 2006, 2007, I would boost up all of Andrea Bargnani's numbers.
Sure.
You know, 3-point shooting, 99%. You know, everything, and then you know I would usually trade Chris Bosh away and build the whole thing around Andrea. Change his number.
Rebounding, it wouldn't let you pass 56%.
Yeah, you
What's
could,
going on?
dude. You could change his rebounding to 99. He still was going to grab like 3 a game. That dude was
Yeah,
lazy
sure.
even in the video games. I'm just kidding. No, I mean honestly, like I cannot, like, again, as someone who's followed so many unstable versions of this organization, I can never ever take that stability for granted, ever. Like, I never felt like it was embarrassing being a Raptor fan. I want to say that. Like, I don't mean to be rude about it, but in the mid 2000s, before Brian Colangelo and before Tim Lawicki, I was genuinely embarrassed of this organization, and I knew very
100%.
little about sports business and sports organization, but I knew this wasn't right. And I mentioned it in yesterday's live, where you know there was a special, because I had met Masai Ujiri when you know he was an assistant to Brian Colangelo here. So I very, very eagerly followed his career in Denver. And there was like an entire special that the Denver Nuggets did back then, which was aired on television, where, you know, they go inside Masai Ujiri's office in Denver and you get to see it. And I wonder if I could find that somewhere on the internet. I saw a really trash organization, man.
Right.
I saw really just like the dumpster fires of an organization, you know, like it felt like a mom and pop store being run in a hut, you know?
Sure.
And it just didn't feel like prestigious. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
there's so much to be said about the aesthetic appeal of your environment. There's so much to be said about the impressiveness of first impressions, right? When Brandon Ingram walks into Toronto, when he walks into the OVO Center, when he walks into Masai's office, that beautiful, you know, presidential suite that he has, when he walks into Darko's office, he's not going to see some ratty fucking, you know, closet. He's not going to see like some rundown desk. He's going to see an A1 organization.
For sure.
You know where A1 organizations like really show their shine? The paint jobs. You know, like
attention to detail.
The attention to detail is everything. And the detail is like, you know, the worst part is the people that you really want to attract into your organization are usually detail oriented to begin with. And so not being detail oriented yourself or not minding the details of your, you know, environment is what repels people away, right? So it's like so many organizations out there, people would be surprised how mom and pop they really are when it comes to ownership, communication, organization, even like flight planning and stuff like that, how people are hired, right? Like, for instance, the Sacramento Kings. Not to harp on them, because I particularly just can't stand this organization and how they're run. The number of times, like, okay, Vivek Ranadive's daughter, who has no real basketball world experience, was, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, the general manager of their G League squad. Can you imagine Masai Ujiri hiring his son to be general manager, or even like okaying? Can you imagine how much we would riot as a fan base if Ted Rogers' son was general manager of our freaking G League squad? Like, I would lose my shit. I would literally be like sitting there screaming about it for day after day. And people would be like, Rob, relax. It's a GM of a G League squad. And it's like, you have no idea what message that sends. It sends you're so Bush League.
100%.
You know? And these
100%.
are the things, right? When you invest, and this is what Tim Lewicki implicitly understood. He understood this and I remember attending a lecture with Tim Lewicki, and I to this day, like, I shook his hands, and I remember that day till this day. It's just what a incredible mind for everything. Like, I have implemented everything into my life that I could from him, that I could have learned from him. I wanted to learn, and I've studied him really in an obsessive way, because I think he really gets it. When he walked into Toronto, he said, you're doing everything wrong. Like, you haven't invested in this. You need to invest in that. Everything counts. You need to do everything this way at this level. He had a real vision for what he basically, told MLSE, y'all are Bush League. This city
Right.
is too good for you. You know what
Well,
I
it's
mean?
just like you're acting Bush League, even though even though you should be anything but it, right?
Yeah,
Like, this
absolutely.
is a big time market with a lot of money and a lot of prestige. There's a reason that players around the league constantly rank Toronto in one of like top 5 cities, right? It's up there
Absolutely.
with Chicago, San Fran, like these big cities. Fine, they're not touching New York and LA. Fine, no one's going to.
Did you
But
see Brandon Ingram's response to his favorite cities? Did you see that?
Yeah, I saw that, and I saw his, just the look on his face. Like, you can't make up how genuine the look on his face was when he got here, and he laid his jersey across the seat and started taking photos of it. You could feel the weight being lifted off of his shoulders from what he's had to endure in New Orleans, who is just essentially like, I don't know, like the G League team. It's like there was their NFL team, and then the Pelicans. It might as well have been the G League team.
Sure. 2 questions. Well, one is a super chat, which, I mean, I've neglected to answer for a full 2 hours and 16 minutes. I tried to answer it, but I didn't want to disrupt the conversation. But where do you think the new healthy starting 5 ranks in the league? Now, I said 12th. I think it's around 12th to 14th, probably. And some development must be factored in there, given how young RJ and Scottie are specifically. But I could see them working their way into maybe top 8, 9.
I mean, I think that's tough to answer right now, just because I feel like the longer term, like, let's take whoever the draft pick is away from this question.
Sure.
I feel like Grady is going to be slotted in there as the 2 over RJ at some point anyway, right? It just like fits better with the style. Not much of a drop off defensively. RJ isn't particularly special on defense. Neither is Grady, but he moves with it a little bit better. Or he moves without it a little bit better. He doesn't get to the rim nearly as well, but you kind of have guys that do that already. So I just feel like
I don't think Scottie or Brandon Ingram or Emmanuel quickly get to the rim the way that RJ does.
Oh, for sure, they don't have the same kind of force that RJ does, for sure. But I just feel like given the need for shooting on that squad, that eventually that starting 5 is going to include Grady. As long to your point, as long as he can put on a bit of muscle. Yeah, that's going to be. But I think it has the potential for like top 10, 12, something like that.
Cool. Phoenix Plays that said, quick question on Scottie. What outcome is more likely, turning into a Anthony Davis type of star where everything is first predicated on that defense, or him being a LeBron? Crazy to suggest that Scottie could be LeBron. I mean, I'm being honest. I don't know if Scottie has the upside to be a LeBron James. Like, I think I probably liken him more to a Scottie Pippen, Magic Johnson type. Like, and that's not any shade, obviously, but LeBron's better than those players.
Right.
And, you know, I guess if I'm thinking, is Scottie Pippen closer to Anthony Davis or LeBron James? He's definitely closer to Anthony Davis. So I would say more so Anthony Davis, but I don't necessarily think it has to be defense first. And Phoenix plays that saying, I meant stylistically. Stylistically. Well, he doesn't really remind me of either player, to be honest. Yeah.
I think it's good. I think it's predicated on what other pieces they put around him, and so where he ends up falling in the I assume he's going to be kind of the 4 just by default, size wise.
I really hope he's not. Like I hope, like I know he will, but I hope he's not. Like I hope that at some point the Raptors find a way to get him and Brandon Ingram on the 2-3, get a 4-5 that is bigger, and just be like the biggest team in the league. I want them to be a huge team.
Right.
Like,
well, yeah, I see him more as a. You may take offense to this. I hope you don't. As like a rich man's Draymond Green. But we'll say the rich man part being so like he develops a better handle. I feel like Scottie already kind of has a better handle than Draymond, and so if he keeps on working on that, you know, Draymond Green with a better handle, and then same sort of defensive instincts, same sort of grit.
He's just so much bigger than Draymond. 1, 2, he's so much younger than Draymond. I mean, it's worth noting Draymond was a rookie when he was as old as Scottie was when he was an all-star.
Sure.
Like that. He's above the rim athlete. Draymond's a below the rim athlete. That makes a huge difference. Draymond's a better defender and a better rebounder. Scottie, I think, is a better passer. Although Draymond is a great passer, more of a connected type. So there are comparisons and there are similarities, but I do hope people realize Draymond at his peak was the second most important player on a dynasty. So it's not shade. Unfortunately, Draymond is such a loaded topic because he is such a controversial figure for people. And people, you know, will remember him bricking threes or missing layups and stuff like that. And, you know, I think the people who don't understand, that don't appreciate Draymond Green's game just don't understand basketball. At a very like fundamental level, they just can never understand the value of a player who just knows what the game is, like how the game is going on. Draymond makes everyone better, defensively, offensively. That's what he has in common with Scottie. He is the consummate, you know, glue guy. But then what you're trying to do with Scottie is you're trying to turn him more into Kawhi, right? You're trying to get him into the shot creation, maybe even Brandon Ingram. And I think that the number one thing, you know, with Brandon Ingram coming to Toronto is these two working together in the offseason. Scottie getting a real sense for how Brandon has developed his handle, his shot package, his counters, learning from Brandon Ingram. And I don't mean that in a condescending way, but there's a hell of a lot that Scottie can learn about footwork and gathers from Brandon Ingram.
100%.
Ironically, do you remember last year when I interviewed Scottie's trainer and I said, if there's one player you could lock him into a gym with for an entire week, no food, no water, who would it be? Do you remember who he said?
Did he say BI?
No, he said Kevin Durant.
Oh, Durant. Yeah.
And if there's one player who mirrors or mimics KD's game, at least in the mid post, it's Kevin Durant. So when I wanted the Raptors to trade Pascal plus everything in the world for Kevin Durant, this is what I had in mind. I had in mind Scottie being around a relentless worker. KD is one of the hardest workers in NBA history. No one will ever understand, but I know some people around him, and I've heard some crazy ass stories. Like 2 hours in the gym, 2 hours off, 3 hours in the gym, 2 hours off, 2 hours on. That's a Sunday. Like insane work ethic.
I hear the same thing about Brandon.
Exactly the same.
Yeah.
So with Brandon Ingram, you hear the same stories and you're just like, okay, I feel like Scottie needs an example from somebody who's been through it. And anyone who thinks that a 23-year-old has figured out everything at the NBA level is honestly nuts. There's so much left to figure out. LeBron was still figuring things out at that stage. He needed a lot of help. Michael was still figuring things out at 24, 25, how to better take care of his body, how to train harder, etc. You know, the coaching will help. I often think to myself, what if the Raptors had hired Ime Udoka instead of Darko? I think Scottie would be a fundamentally different player. I don't know better. I don't know worse. Just different. Very different. The coaching helps. But what helps a lot, really, to me, is your teammates. Having a teammate whose game is so admirable to you, who can physically pretty much do exactly what you do, who can offer size in practice for you to actually play against like a player your own size. Like I think
Sure.
they can make each other so much better. It's actually kind of crazy. What do you think of him? What do you think of him wearing number 3 in honor of Allen Iverson?
I love it. I love it. The guy is a basketball historian, right? I've seen interviews before, like from years ago, talking about how when he goes home at night, he doesn't watch shows, he doesn't play video games, he watches basketball. All he does is consume. He'll go back to like the '96 Bulls and just watch and absorb everything that MJ did, right? And try to work it into his game. Like you have to admire somebody who has that same kind of work.
This is what I'm,
Yeah, this is it.
I don't watch a regular TV show. If I'm putting some on my TV, it's like
There you go.
some like they
You're
got
quick with the drop, Robbie.
Hour-long videos of Michael Jordan highlights of just 96, 97. Just 96, 97. I'll just go home and be like, okay, this is what I'm doing. I'm gonna get my lunch. I'm gonna go do this, and I'm just watching this. I'm just watching this the whole time. Just him in the mid post, him pulling up from 3, him getting all the way to the rim, him finding passes on the wing, just his defensive play, anticipating passes, just everything that I can just kind of pick up on, just seeing different techniques that made it easier for him just to pick up on. So like that's just like my whole life. If I'm going home, I'm just watching basketball. I don't wanna watch anything else because I always think about who working harder than me. I always think about if I lack something in my routine, then somebody else is doing something better than me. Like
that's some Kobe shit right there.
Yeah,
that is fucking Kobe shit.
Sure. Yeah.
Michael Beasley compared him to Kobe. Now, consider the source, but Beasley was playing on the same team as, like, they were playing on the Lakers together.
Sure.
And this is an NBA player at the end of the day. Sure, he didn't reach the heights that he was touted to reach at the time.
Sure. I mean, he brought it up today too. He said, one of the reasons I might get injured is because I never know when to stop working.
Right.
Like I just push myself too hard and I just go nuts. He's a, I've met a lot of perfectionists in my life. He's a perfectionist.
Right.
Like he is one of those players that's going to like, I want to get it perfect. Like,
Sure.
Tell me again, what's the note? I'm going to get the note. Like, no, not a little bit off, not 99.8%. No, I need to get it 100%. And I feel like that relentless pursuit of perfection is what Scottie needs. Like Scottie needs that type of person next to him. And in the interview today, they were saying like, what do you know about the Raptors? Blah, blah, blah. He's like, well, this Scottie, he seems like a total goofball, and I'm a total goofball myself, so I can't wait to hang out with him. And I'm just like, man, please let this be the new best friend duo on the team, because there is such a considerable talent gap between Scottie's last best friend, which was OG Anunoby,
Sure,
and his clunky ass offense, and Brandon friggin' Ingram.
This is what I'm like. I keep coming back to this. Like, people were saying that, and I like him. Don't get me wrong, Cam Johnson. They were saying that he could be had for a good young player and 3 first-round picks. I like Cam Johnson, but Brandon Ingram is better than Cam Johnson at the end of it. He's a better basketball player, overall basketball player. Now, is he a better fit on this team versus that team? Sure, you can quibble with that, for sure. Cam Johnson fits on most teams in the same way that OG does, and that's why that makes that archetype of player so valuable. But at the end of the day, BI is a better player. So if you can get him for a couple of bench players and a mid to late first round pick, you do that 10 times out of 10, right? And I think on this team, and then layer over the fact that he wants to be here, right?
Sure.
His market is probably a little bit depressed, which may have gotten to his head a little bit. So even if we can get about 40 a year for 42 a year for 3-4 years,
Sure.
right? You're gonna have a little bit of housekeeping to do thereafter for sure, but that's a good start, right? That's a good start. I think that's the foundation. I think that's a good foundation for the next up and coming winning Toronto Raptors organization.
You want to see a
Right.
beautiful picture of Brandon Ingram and Scottie Barnes?
Sure. I thought you were going to do that. You could swap it in for the Step Brothers one as well.
I thought about
Are
it
we
too.
best friends?
Are we
Yeah.
best friends? Yep. Did we just become best friends? It's like, what's your favorite move? Mid-post turnaround? What's your favorite move? Mid-post turnaround?
Did we
What's
just
your-
become best friends?
No. It's got to be okay. What's your wingspan?
7'3".
Mine too. Okay. How tall are you?
6'9".
Me too. What's your favorite move?
Turn around mid post spin.
Me too. Did we just become best friends?
Yep. That's right,
Yeah.
man. That's funny.
Yeah.
I'm happy, man. I'm happy. I'm sad that so many Raptors. I could give a fuck what the national media thinks about Bill Simmons and those guys. I'm sad that that it sort of infiltrated the thinking of the local media, and it's made it so that they can't be happy about this move.
Do you
right?
do you know what makes me happier than anything? Hang on, I'm actually gonna show you. It's an all-time savage tweet, but I'm gonna
Right.
share it with you because I think you'll get a good chuckle out of it. But yes. Anyways, I am not sad that the media doesn't like it.
While you look for it, I'll respond to Phoenix Play Z, Brandon Ingram versus Jaylen Brown. So again, I feel like this is similar to the Brandon Ingram versus Pascal debate, right? Which is obviously permeated through the media cycle, the Toronto media cycle over the last little bit. And yeah, you can't argue with the accolades for sure. Pascal is the quote unquote better player, but you put him on a court 1v1. Ingram is winning that 9 times out of 10. I'm sorry. Like, and not to say that 1v1 is the be all end all. It's a team game for sure. But he has more skill, right? At the end of the day, he has more skill. And Pascal, while he has been a great defender in the past, it's not really been him as of late.
Mm-hmm.
So
sure. Check
take
out the
that for what
tweet.
it's worth.
Check out the tweet on your screen.
This is Josh Lewenberg. Can you tell I'm not a fan of the deal? Oh, this is it. Yeah. This is a very good reason to be. Perfect. I couldn't have crafted a tweet any better. I would have said like probably the exact same thing verbatim.
Yeah.
There's a very good reason to be a fan of this deal. Lewenberg, bro.
According to Windhorse, Raptors are looking at a 9-figure BI contract, meaning
50
million 4 years, I'm guessing. Okay, She-Wolf. 9 figures could mean 112 million for 3 years as well. That would still be 9 figures.
Mm-hmm.
So unless you're inferring 50 million a year, I can promise you there's no way in hell Brandon Ingram is getting $50 million a year.
Right.
Like to put into context, I don't know why he would even write nine figures, because that's just a whole nothing burger, right?
9 figures is $100 million. So for 4 years, which is 25 million a year.
To put it into context, here are the following players that signed 9-figure salaries this past year: Emmanuel Quickley, Trey Murphy, Cade Cunningham, Scottie Barnes, Franz Wagner, literally everybody.
Right.
Like almost everybody. Every contract is she said my math ain't matching. It's actually your
Right.
mathing.
Yeah.
There we go. There we go.
Nothing. Yeah.
Yeah. The math ain't mathing. Okay, I'm gonna bring on Steve-O because he's been waiting for a long time. Steve-O, I apologize, man. I'm so sorry. I was getting caught up with insanity over here. How's it
It's
going?
been a while. It's been a while, Steve-O.
Dude, sorry. How are you guys doing?
We are good. How are you? Thanks for calling in, man.
I'm great, man. I'm just walking my dog. I apologize if you hear background noise, but I don't know where do you guys want this conversation to go? Like I have a lot of different thoughts. Like unfortunately I got home kind of late and had to skip through the game and whatever, but you want to talk about Brendan Ingram? Do you want to talk about like it's up to you, like where you want this to go, but I have a lot of thoughts.
Okay, why don't you give me your most interesting thought?
Okay, so the start German league thing, I think that is. So we always.
Okay, you're cutting out massively.
You're hearing this, eh?
Okay.
Yeah, you're cutting out like really badly. Yeah, you can call back when you get home. Okay, if and I apologize if I'm up because this is a lot of hours of live streaming for me. But yes, sorry, Steve-O, I'm gonna have to remove you until you can fix your internet because that becomes very, very difficult.
Yeah, you must be in the weeds at this point. You I assume you did the trade reaction as it happened. You did the deadline. You probably did a deadline show. You did the live tonight. Like are you going on like? Oh, and then you did the player's choice. Did you do that too?
So I did playback. So that was 3 hours almost today, from 8 till about 10:45. So that's about 3 hours. So I actually wanted to address like player's choice. I am very, very, very happy with player's choice. Like it's amazing. Like they have really. I mean, I couldn't have dreamt in a million years. So first of all, I'm very phobic about working for other people.
Right.
I don't know what it is, but generally speaking, like I like certain amount of control over, my content and what I'm doing and stuff. And I generally believe like people are, not gonna, what the fuck did I do here? Here. So I generally believe like people are not going to give me the creative freedom to do what I want to do, and then it's going to stifle me a little bit. I have never been told what to say. I've never been told what not to say. I didn't think this was possible in 2025.
That's great, man.
I didn't think this was possible in 2020. So the lack of censorship there was so amazing. They've taken care of me really, really well. They're incredible with the scheduling. They're great with the payments. Like they're just awesome. So I am
That's great, man.
very, very happy that I'm getting paid to do what I love, and being paid so much better than what I was being offered by the Raptors people that wanted me. The brands that will not name, but you know who they are. Yeah.
They were just trying to edit you down, like.
I mean, number one, like, the group think is so insane, and then number two, it's like the payments were so sickly, and it was just like it's disrespectful at some point, right? So I fully empathize with Jimmy Butler. I was just like, I had a Tobias Harris over me moment, with this company. I was just like, I looked at who they decided to end, who they paid. Because again, like I kind of got an insight into like their payment structures, and I saw like I basically would, maybe an asshole situation, but I came into this and I just said I want a media pass. Like I went up to this company, this Canadian company that most of y'all are familiar with, but I won't name, and I said I want a media pass, and whatever this guy's making, I want that much. Like you scale my dollar for dollar because I believe I'm just as talented as him. And they said no media pass for you. You have to do 1 year here. You're going to get paid this much. It's not going to be as much as this guy. And then I was like, okay, give me a show. Give me a show with this guy, one-on-one, like a debate show, like Skip and Shannon, except we're both white. And they wanted to pair me with somebody else. I was like, fuck it, I'm out. Nope.
Right.
So this is just such a great thing for me. Like they are. Like, I think it's tacky to talk about how much money is being paid or whatever, but it's exceeding my expectations for sure. Like when I signed on, and yeah, I was just telling my girlfriend, I was just like, man, I walked in with such a lot of fear, anxiety about like what am I getting myself into. I mean, I was looking on TikTok the other day. I am shocked. The clip of me talking about Cooper Flag on TikTok has like 700,000 views. The clip of me talking
Nice.
about Arvydas Sabonis has 2.3 million views. I'm just like, I'm not even on this platform. And
Was that a
now,
convo with me?
no, it's on Player's
No.
Choice.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah. It was a conversation of me putting Arvydas Sabonis in my top potentially 15 players of all time.
Right.
So yeah, it's just been really cool, man. And also now I cannot go to a Raptors game without like a lot of weirdness. So it's been interesting.
That's funny. We still got to do our game later this year.
Which game?
I believe actually. Do you want to do San Antonio again? Hold on. Let me check. Let me check when. Okay, what are the next games we got coming up?
Well, I can't do anything until Pendance is over.
When's
Pendance is coming up.
Late Feb, right?
February 27th to March 2nd.
Right. So we've got. Hold on, Washington, fuck that, Philly. San Antonio, March 23rd, Sunday, March 23rd.
I'm game.
Done. I'm earmarking that. Now, unfortunately, I think we're not going to be moving down courtside like we have in the past. We're going to be in the nosebleeds, but
Cool.
whatever. Still fun.
That's fun. We'll figure out how to do a post game or something. Yeah, from there, or maybe we'll. You think we can get Greg on again?
Totally. Yeah. Greg is down. I don't want to speak for sure on behalf of him, but he's always been down in the past for sure.
Okay, let's do that. To those of you who don't know, Greg is the producer of Open Gym, and he is amazing. So amazing. Yeah. No,
that show is very good. Open Gym is very good. That footage is next level.
It's cinema quality, man. It's so good. I say this as both a film director and a cinematographer. I always respect their storytelling chops. It's so good. Sure. And you know what's funny? Like, that's the storytelling that's missing from the NBA in general. Like,
they make it human.
Exactly. They make it so human. And I feel like it's almost like I feel Pensare Basketball is an extension of the same ethos as Open Gym, just with a lot more swearing and a lot less PC. You know,
I'm pretty sure those guys are swearing a lot in the locker rooms as well. They're just
cut
being,
it out.
Yeah, exactly. They're just being bleeped.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, the first thing that Darko screams as soon as they get into the room after a win is "Let's fucking go." So.
Oh yeah. Did I tell you there's a basketball documentary at Pendance this year?
No. Come on. Bro, sign me up for it. I'm there with bells on.
It's on Sunday. It's on Sunday, March 2nd. So check if you have anything going on that day. The director.
No, I have a gig the night before, so let's do it.
It's Sunday afternoon, early. So yeah.
That's fine. I might be a little bit haggard, but I can take in a dog for sure.
Hang on, I'm gonna show you. I'll send you a code for your ticket. Hang on 1 second. So it is this. So it's oh shit. Oops. So it is this one. It is this. It's called The Last Game.
Nice.
Yeah. It's it's called Basketball State. The Last Game is a documentary that is paired with. So Last Game is by John Alpert, and it's about like this guy who goes across 5 continents and tries to understand how the game of hockey is evaporating.
Okay.
And then it's paired with a documentary about basketball. So they're both documentaries. You know, one's like 50 minutes, one's like 70 minutes. And the other one is about Minnesota hoops.
Oh, nice.
It's about like the rise of Minnesota basketball in the world. It's interviewing NBA players. The director's there. I'm gonna see if Jamison Battle could come, but unfortunately, like I wonder if the Raptors have a game the same day. But yeah,
I can tell you right now.
Do they have a game the same day? See if Jamison Battle could come. I think Jamison Battle should come. I'll reach out to Gabe and let him know that Jamison Battle has a free ticket on me.
Oh, if anything, they're on a road trip because there are no games between the February 25th and March 7th. Yeah, I'm not
They're on a road
sure.
trip. Okay,
Actually, you know what? I can check their full schedule here.
Schedule. It's the Raptors.
March 2nd, yeah, they play Orlando in Orlando.
6 p.m. Damn.
That's right.
Damn. I really messed up there. But were they at home before that? Or were they always on the road?
Right before that, no, they're in Chicago on the Friday prior. So they're on the road from the 26th of February through to the 4th of March.
Yeah. So basically Pendance runs through a road trip. Fuck.
Yeah.
Last year I was curious to see if Scottie would be able to come, but yeah. I mean, they stand out like so hard. There was a professional basketball player, not an NBA player, that came to Pendance 2020, and you just see them and they're just like, damn, bro, like you stand out. Like there's some tall ass people there because there are a lot of people, actors and shit, a lot of women wearing heels and stuff. But man, when you're 6'6", you stick out. Like you stick out hard.
For sure.
Right. Yeah. Anyway.
Well, sign me up, bro. I'm gonna be there for sure. No gig that day. So yeah, I'm game.
Awesome sauce. And we'll definitely do the San Antonio thing.
Yes.
Yeah. And I have a better phone now. So, we do a post game live off my phone. It's going to be a lot better. And I'm going to figure out how to get it stood up so it's not as awkward. But yes.
For sure.
Figure it out.
Yeah. Let's see if we can find a spot to do it. We did it at Real Sports last time.
Mm-hmm.
I'll text Greg. I'll see if he's got a good solution for, like, I don't know if there's a spot that he can find that's a little more quiet to do it. Do they still do that? You remember that Raptors show that they did from Real Sports? Is that still going?
I don't think they do that anymore. I haven't seen that in forever.
Like Jack and Leo and those guys were doing it.
No, I haven't really seen that. Also, have you heard the craziest thing that Jack Armstrong has ever said? He said Scottie Barnes is more talented than Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Scottie Barnes is more talented than Giannis. Well, not yet. He's not.
Yeah.
What was the context?
The context was addressing why he's not good enough, and he was like, he's more talented than Giannis, but he doesn't want it as much. He doesn't have that dog. He's not a killer. He's not gonna.
What? Bro, he's 23, guy. When did Giannis come into the league? How old was he?
Did I say more skilled or more talented? He said more skilled. Yes, correct. So did I say more talented? Okay. Sorry, more skilled. I don't want to misquote Jack. Sorry, more skilled. Do you believe he's more skilled than Giannis?
No, not yet.
So I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Nick. I didn't want to misquote it, and it's a memory gaffe, not a deliberate. But I do consider more skilled as being actually even more flagrant. Yeah. I mean, he should have mentioned that Giannis is considerably more athletic, but honestly, Scottie's his own, like weirdly super athletic player anyways. So
yeah. Scottie is a long jumper, not a high jumper, right? He's athletic in a different way. Like he's not the same kind of like springy athlete that say Amen Thompson or Jalen Green are. Right. Mm-hmm. But I'll bet you he could run the court just as fast as those guys. No, maybe not Amen. Amen that dude is fucking Bugs or the Road Runner.
Dude, but honestly, but hey, the Scoot Henderson stuff is kind of coming around.
Yeah.
Scoot's popping.
He's looking good.
Yeah. I mean,
our 3-year draft is coming around my way a little bit more.
Maybe because, well, I mean, it still won't, but in fairness, but I do want to say that I was very, very firm that Scoot Henderson would be a better player than Brandon Miller. I was so firm on it. I was like, I was so strong on my take. It's like, there's some soft takes. Like, I think this player is better than the other player. No, I said the GM who takes Brandon Miller over Scoot Henderson deserves to get fired. Like, will be
Right.
fired in 3 years. Something like that. I was very, very, very adamant that Scoot Henderson was going to work. And so, yeah, like, I'm thinking like a couple years from now, let's see. Because Scoot Henderson's been freaking amazing, man. He's been so
Well, it's just
good.
such a bummer when guys like that, Chet, they get injured like at such early points in their career. It just completely derails the beginning, their first phase, right? And then they have to work back, and then they commence their first phase where they now have to get used to the rigors of real NBA life. So it's just such a bummer that we shit like that happens. It's such a bummer that Brandon Miller got injured again this year, right? Looks like the guy's blossoming, and then boom, he's out for the year. Like, fuck.
Yeah.
But injuries are just something we got to deal with.
I think so. JS Gang saying, Rob, which event part of Penn Dance Festival do you recommend I go to? I want to come to one, but I don't have much money for a lot. Sorry. So, like, I wanna just say to anybody out there who's like, okay, film festivals, come on, economy, fucking tank, Trump, lot going on in the world right now. I don't ever believe that I would want Penn Dance to be like gate kept by money. Ever.
For sure.
That's not why we started this. So if anybody has that, send me an email with the target, with the subject, Penn Dance tickets. Write your username, who you are, just so I know that I can recognize you. Okay. And I will happily give you 2 tickets to a screening of your choice. Whatever you want. It's on me for supporting Pensare Basketball. So pensarefilms@gmail.com. I'll get you some comp tickets. JS Gang, you do not need to spend money that you don't have to watch some films. Happy to hook you up with a couple. Maybe you love film festivals. Okay? So I'm happy to do that for you. No problem. And
if y'all didn't know already, Rob is a man of the people. All right?
I'm
Living
a man
proof
of the
right
people.
there.
I am a man of the people. Yes. Yeah, no, because it's funny. Like I've known so many people in my life that were hungry. Like I talked to my girlfriend about this like the other day, and people have been asking me, like I've been in a better mood, or I've been trying to be funny a little bit more, and I think it's generally because my home environment is so much more peaceful. Because my girlfriend and I have like talked about like how much peace is important in the home, peace, surroundings, our relationship, everything must be peaceful for me to run well here. Because I told her, I was like, bro, you left for a week and I had the best podcast ever. I think this is like a sign that I need peace in the home to create the best, environment in these lives. And, we were talking about one of our central issues, which is always money. And she's like, why are you so guarded about stuff like this? Like, why are you so like panicky when it comes to like economic downturns and things like this? And I was like, I remember being 6 years old, and my mom and I and my dad, we had to spend a night at a food court. And I think my mom spent like our last $6 to get me a burger, as they didn't eat. Like when you've felt that level of poverty and desperation, you never take anything for granted in your life. Those are very early memories of my life. So when I see somebody saying like, oh, I'm really hard out for cash, generally speaking, like I totally understand that. So yeah. And I'm very, very blessed. Like today, like I don't want to act like I'm poor or anything. Like I'm very blessed. Like that's why I'm so thrilled about the panel. And we're doing really well with this channel now. It's doing well. The donations are crazy. The e-transfers are crazy. Ever since we added the e-transfer link, they've been like thousands of dollars sent via e-transfer, which are very, very generous. So this has exceeded my wildest dreams.
That's great, man. That's really great. You deserve it, man. You work hard. You're like, I am a social media moron for the most part. Half because I get frustrated having to try to figure it out. And then half because I'm a little older, so social media is just not baked into my everyday as much as others. But I watch you do it, and you seem to have a good head on your shoulders with it, and I'm sure you have some kind of life outside of it. You obviously have a steady relationship. You have a good home, that sort of thing. And then you also have this film festival that you do, and you direct films as well. So I feel like you're a bit of a source of inspiration for me to go after. So yeah, kudos to you. Kudos to your brand, all that you've established so far. I'm not surprised in the least bit that Players Choice wanted to have you on full time, and it's just a testament to who you are and your work ethic, man.
I appreciate that. That's like, I always tell. I usually don't care about compliments. It sounds kind of asshole-ish, but I'm a bit on the spectrum, so you'll have to deal with me being an asshole when I say I usually don't care about compliments. It's true. Like, people will say like all sorts of shit, and I would just be like, cool. I don't let it get to me, because I've learned to sort of filter feedback, good or bad.
Sure.
But there's certain people in this world that I do feel like those compliments do come in different. They hit different. You're one of those people for sure.
Oh, thanks,
Like,
man, for sure.
Like because you're talented, and I know that you've devoted so much time, and because your music is literally in my movie, my first feature film.
10 past 9, baby.
It's such a great song. It's such a great song. When I heard it, I was like, how could this scene ever work without it? So yeah, I'm very selective about it, but yes, there are certain people in this world that I'm like actually invested in. What do they think about what I'm doing? Not because I'm looking to, for them to gas me up. It's because I'm looking for them to hold me accountable. So, when I earlier I mentioned Susan Garrett, I think she's come at me a couple times and just been like, calibrate. I'm a fan of yours, but if you're doing it this way, I think you're doing it wrong. And I always take that to heart. So some people, on the internet, they'll be like trying to be like, you're da da da, and I'll just be like, I don't fucking care what you have to say. And they'll think I'm an asshole. But it's because I'm very, very selective about who I actually care. Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
Man, you know what it is that I have no reason to gas somebody up for no reason. There's just I'll give props where props are due. But we've had our disagreements. We've had our disagreements on usually basketball related type stuff.
You were saying tank in the off season, and I nearly kicked you off the show.
That's right.
I was like, this cannot be heard by our impressionable youth. Our dear Jacobis and our dear Grady's and our dear Scotties. We cannot let them hear the word tank until at least March.
Right.
But of course, they've heard it many times because they're injuries. But yes. Anyways, yes.
I tried to share my Spotify link. Jonathan M said, "Where can we listen?" But I think maybe you have a wall or something that doesn't let you post links. Okay. Yo, shout out at Nature Boy. Cool.
Okay. Hang on.
Yeah. If you Spotify Nature Boy Opia.
Here,
That's my record. That's my record right there. But I have my new record that's going to be coming out in the summer is going to be under a different artist name. Because it's a little bit of a different direction musically.
Okay.
But can't wait for you to hear it for sure.
Is it? Hang on. Let me share my screen. This?
Yeah,
yes, of course it is.
One.
There we are.
There you go.
Should I play this and get copyright? Would I get a copyright strike for this? Do you have anyone managing that?
No.
Okay.
You wouldn't be getting it from me, that's for sure.
Okay. Let me try. Damn you.
You got to download the app. No, you should be able to listen just on a web browser.
Shouldn't I? Hang on, let me just try. Okay. Unfortunately, y'all will have to go listen to the song yourself, but I very much recommend it. It's a good song.
All right.
It's a good song.
Thanks, brother.
How would you describe your music to the people?
So
I'm actually legitimately too stupid to describe your music. So please describe it for yourself.
Dude, I can't even describe it. all I like to say is that
that's how good it is. Y'all heard it here first.
Right. I
Indescribable.
like to say I am influenced by various artists that I don't sound like when I write. So,
Okay.
you know, if you know Peter Gabriel, you know Paul Simon, you know newer guys like JP Sachs is a fantastic Toronto-based, or he was Toronto-based. Now he's LA, but he's a Canadian writer. You know, kind of a bit more chill rock, maybe.
Okay,
Adult contemporary.
I'm gonna play 20 seconds of it. I want people to hear it.
Sure.
10 minutes shy of what could have been.
This is probably one of the most chill songs on the record for sure.
600 seconds last might have seen me through your front door. At least I know now.
Okay, so that's a little bit of it. Hello, YouTube. That's the guy who's singing the song. Please don't copyright strike me. He agreed to it. Did you agree to it?
100%.
Nice. Yes.
Here, YouTube. Are you seeing this, YouTube? All good.
That's that guy. Okay.
That's right.
So plenty of songs there. Definitely go check out Vince. It's a really, really cool artist. And he does live events too.
Yeah, man. For sure.
Yeah. All right. Any final thoughts, Vince?
Great to catch up with you. It's been too long. I've been meaning to pop on here and there, but I've been working hard in the background, and I'll be coming around. I'll be coming around for more basketball talk soon enough, for sure.
Dope. We got a lot of draft shit to discuss, man.
Oh yes.
All right.
Oh yes.
Peace.
Take care, brother.
Have a good night.
You too. Ciao.
And send love to the family. Steve-O, what's up?
Hey, how you doing, Rob?
Oh, your audio is still terrible.
Still?
Yeah, man. I can't. I'm sorry. I appreciate you. Thanks. Okay, can y'all confirm that was every bit as bad as I think it was? That's so bad. LOL for real. Okay, cool. Okay, I'm very, very sorry, Steve-O. I know that we do not control your internet connection, or you don't control your internet connection, but unfortunately, whatever's going on with your mic is the shit that Steven Spielberg, or sorry, that Stanley Kubrick put in The Shining. It's bad. Okay, so hopefully next time, better connection. Okay, we done 3 hours, 1 minute later, which that's crazy. 3 hours and 1 minute. But I'm really happy because basically, you know what's really cool about this? Not one word. Okay, wait, that's not true. That's not true. Well, I was about to say that. I was supposed to say not one word of that conversation between me and Vince changed because we were on the air. But I don't know if that's true for him. But, you know, for me, like, apart from like an explicit detail about a particular player or their name or something, I don't think I would have said anything different. Yeah. So that's pretty cool. Yeah. Anyways, I am a very excited Raptor fan right now. I hope you can feel that. I hope that you can, you know, share that. And I got to say, as a content creator, I've really learned to, you know, I think I walked on as a very selfish content creator. I wanted to make waves. I wanted to be right. I, you know, somewhat wanted to, I think understandably wanted to stand out. But I think this community has become more about trying to support players, trying to support y'all, and trying to figure out, what do you need right now? What do you need after a loss to the OKC Thunder, as your media space and the international media is ripping this thing? I think we need fresh perspectives. I think we need a little bit of laughs. I think we need the truth, right? We always need the truth, right? And that was the thing that with Pendance and with pensarefilms and you know, Pensare Basketball, it was like, okay, everything within the truth, right? That was kind of the you can criticize within the truth. Like, don't be lying about people. Don't be lying about yourself. Don't be lying about, you know, what players did or said or whatever. You know, everything within the truth. So we try to keep it to that. But the truth can be funny, right? The truth can be funny. The truth can be entertaining. It doesn't always have to be super deadpan. It doesn't have to be, screaming and yelling. The truth can be chill. It can be mellow. It can be a lot of different ways. So I'm just learning I'm finding my voice as a content creator for sure. Jamal Murray saying PC chat is pure cringe. Yeah, I mean, it can be. It certainly can be. But I've always believed that you need to find your next challenge. Player's choice is a big challenge for me. I know this because I will often get off of player choice, like off a panel episode or off, especially on playback. It's worse on playback. I'll get off and I will need like a full 30 to 40, 50 minute decompress. Like I will need to like massage my head a little bit. And I know that means that it's good for me. It's good for me, man. Like, are you going on PC full time? No. I think Vince misunderstood something that I'd said, which was that, the PC was taking care of me, that I was going to be more involved a little bit. No, I'm not on PC full time. Number one, I cannot commit to 15 hours a week for the panel. That is crazy. I would lose my mind. Second, I don't think that would be good for player's choice. I don't think me on every day is good. It's not been offered to me, and no, I'm not. But I am regular. I can't remember the last week I wasn't on. This week I was supposed to be on twice. I decided yesterday to hop off very quickly because I wanted to do our trade show. So I'm on pretty much 2 times a week, every week. And if you look at PC Instagram, if you look at Player's Choice, TikTok, I mean, I think I'm right there. I'm right there with, pretty much Mars and, Swiper and whatever for, Chill as the faces of the panel, and the panel is the face of PC. So, I'm very deeply appreciative. I don't take this for granted. I'm very, very happy and thankful that, frankly, a community where I was not really known to anybody in that community. I don't have connections, really. It was a cold call from Shaq to me. Shaq basically approached me and said, "You want to do this? Like, we saw your video, like your style. You want to come in? We're doing some changes." And it was really a trial run. I mean, there was no reason to think that it would last past, couple episodes. And it's been great. It's been great. I'm very, very happy. And I'm most happy, by the way, that so many of you have decided to watch me on the panel. That has been super meaningful. So yeah, I'm very thankful for that. What do you think of your competitor, Amateur Hour Sports? I don't think of Amateur Hour Sports as a competitor. I don't think of Raptors Digest as a competitor. I don't think of NBA Chev as a competitor. I think of them as, I don't compete with these channels. I mean, I've watched. I mean, it would be ridiculous for me to comment on Amateur Hour Sports. I've watched maybe 2. No, I haven't watched a single episode completion. I've maybe watched 1 or 2 episodes of him 6 minutes in. I watched 4 minutes of an NBA Chev live today. I can tell you 100% authentically what I do watch. I will occasionally watch Samson Folk and Louis Zatzman and Trey. I will occasionally watch that. I will occasionally watch Hello and Welcome. Very occasionally. I regularly listen to the Raptor Show with Blake Murphy and Matt Bonner. I regularly listen to The Athletic. I really like Brian Windhorst's podcast, The Hoop Collective. I will occasionally, as a guilty pleasure, listen to the who. Of course, PC. Like I'll occasionally listen to some PC shows where I'm not on, just to see what the vibe is and all that stuff. I will definitely listen to Thinking Basketball. I've consumed a lot of Thinking Basketball in my life. I really enjoy the NBA Storyteller. I can tell you another content creator that I really, really love, and that's Commissioner Dynamo. Covers mainly the Detroit Pistons, but I find him hilarious in all walks of life. I think Commissioner Dynamo is awesome. Sam Vecini is basically would say once every 2 months if there's a particular draft profile that I really like. I do not listen to a lot of Sam Vecini. Scroopy Hooper saying Goateology. I'll tell you something funny about that later, but yes, I'd love Goateology. Our shout out to my boy Goateology, of course. I find him impossible. I'm sorry. I mean, there's certain content creators that I find impossible to listen to. This is the GOAT. Oh yeah. Kenny Beecham and also Jimmy High Roller. Those two are the gold standard or the gold bar for every podcaster and literally any basketball content creator to really hold up to. I can tell you Maximilian, you know, he's great. He's fantastic. I've had conversations with him. I think he's really cool. Y'all might find this surprising, but I will occasionally, very occasionally, as a very guilty pleasure, listen to also the Ringer Pod as well as Legend of Winning. Ever since I had my beef with Lowe, I've occasionally listened to his stuff as well. I have listened to a little bit of Nerd Sash. I occasionally listen to Colin Cowherd. I will occasionally listen to also, God damn it, white guy. Fuck. Jason Timpf. What am I? Wow. Jason Timpf. Flight Crew. Nope. No, not at all. And this guy, not at all. And this guy, not at all. I have, you know, so there's a few Raptors content creators that I will never ever in a million years listen to because I mean, I don't know if y'all know this, but most of us have talked extensively off air. I've had plenty of DM chains with other content creators, media members, like email chains, whatever. No names, no specifics. I'm a guarded secret, Volt, right? But yes, Low Post is good. I do like the Low Post podcast. Bingo. Can't stand him. Don't like him. Him and what's that dude? Fuck, what's his name? These people do not like you know, like you can only store a certain amount of information or a certain amount of names in your brain. Like you just lose them if you don't. Warwich Report. I can't. I can't. That guy is so ugh. It's not worth talking about because, you know, like since he started out, like I remember, you know, it's funny when I started out, I was very, very competitive because there were certain people that I just really didn't like in this space and I wanted to beat them. And I thought the best way to beat them was to get more subscribers than them. And I remember even like making a post, like a very petty post about passing that guy in terms of overall subscribers. Oh, I like Kevin O'Connor. I do. Yeah. Oh, you are perfectly within your right to think he's all right. No one's here judging you for thinking he's all right. I'm never going to tell people who to watch or who not to watch. I'm just telling you who I don't watch. And I definitely to me, I give you 3 minutes from starting a podcast to give me a feeling or a fact. Like that's kind of my barometer for this, right? Like everything doesn't have to be fact-based. I don't have to be learning new shit from you. It doesn't always have to be Hoop Collective. It doesn't always have to be Thinking Basketball or, you know, it doesn't always. Oh, I'll tell you another channel that I really, really love. Stunted Growth. I love Stunted Growth. And Athletic Alchemy. I love Athletic Alchemy. Athletic Alchemy is like just awesome. Look, here's what I don't like. And I'm just going to say this very, very politely. I don't like the truth revealed about everything. I don't like this shit. It's very clickbaity. It's overly repetitive. I can literally glean like there's certain content creators that don't have an original thought. And okay, so I want to let y'all know something. So somebody called me the other day and I feel like an asshole because now I haven't gotten back to them and they emailed me as well and they're actually trying to help with Pendants and I'm such a douche because I haven't responded to the email. I will respond to that email the minute I stop this live. But because I'm in the weeds of this conversation, I just want to they said something at the end of the conversation that I've never heard before. The words I've never heard before. And that might just be my ignorance that I've never heard these words before. Or maybe they're just particularly said in a particular community that I'm not a part of. But he said, because he called me and he called me as Pendants and the number on the site was, you know, the number that he found through LinkedIn or whatever was mine. And so he ended up calling me not knowing it was me. And he was talking about Rob's podcast. And he's like, yo, I listened to Rob's podcast, blah, 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 blah. And he's talking to me like I'm Pendants. So anyways, and he might even be listening to this right now. I don't know. So he told me at the end, he said, I always appreciate that you're, what do you say? I appreciate that you're a faucet and not a drain. I think that's what he said. I'm 90% sure. I'm 99.9% sure that's what he said. And he said, I think you know what I mean. And I thought about it for a while and I was just like, I do get what he's saying. Like, I'm not just collecting the tom-toms and, you know, the rumors and putting it all. It's not pause worthy. Don't worry. I know you heard the word drain and your 2 a.m. brain just went right into the gutter, but it ain't that. So like being a faucet means you are creating something, right? It's new, it's innovative. Being a drain means you're collecting something. So I had also never heard this term before or this particular statement before, you're a faucet, not a drain. But I was just like, damn, that's very true. I'm not a drain. I'm not someone who's going to go watch 14 other, you know, Raptors shows and podcasts and then summarize everything. That's what artificial intelligence does, bro. That's literally what artificial intelligence. What does AI do? It summarizes shit, right? So what does it say? Oh, you know, people, you know, I mean, there's AI summaries in this chat. People are excited about Vince coming back and think that his voice is whatever. Like, that's what AI does. So my goal, you know, especially when I heard about AI, you know, back in 2001, 2002, was to make myself future proof. And the only way to be future proof is to be original. So that's the whole point. I don't want to be like AI. I'm not trying to be the synthesizer, or I'm not trying to synthesize 14 other sources and try to make it my own. I'm watching a game. I'm trying to use all the knowledge that I have about basketball, and I'm trying to come up with my opinion. And if my opinion happens to match Samson's opinion, cool. And if it deviates 100% from Samson's opinion, also cool. Right? So, and what's interesting is that I believe in intersectional knowledge. So I think if you were to listen to a teacher, someone with a formal education background, which I do not have, but if you were to listen to someone who's a teacher, try to use their teaching degree to try and explain basketball, it would be unique. And I think that that's why all of us, you know, to give you an inspirational note before we end this 3-hour and 20-minute live, your voice is important. It's important to have one. It's important to have an opinion. It's important to have a voice. And it's important partially because no one else can think the way you do. No one else has your set of experiences. No one else walked through your shoes, through your life. And so, you know, very often the biggest barrier to creating content is what new thing can I offer? Well, the minute you are yourself, 100% authentically yourself, it's immediately new. And the minute it's new, it cannot be replicated without copyright. You know, so if someone wants to copy Pensare Basketball style, good fucking luck. Like, you're not me. You can't do this. Like, this doesn't exist without me. That's not me being condescending or cocky. It's just me being honest. Like, you can't do this. You can try. I've certainly seen other content creators in Toronto try to bite certain elements of what we do, from call-in shows to stuff like that, live streams and stuff. I mean, honestly, I've seen them try to do it. You're just not going to do it like I'm going to do it, and that's okay. That's okay, because you're not me and I'm not you, and that's great. But one of us are very comfortable with that fact. You know what I mean? So playback was terrible, especially Mars and Show. I agree. I agree. Thousands upon thousands of people watched the panel, most of them American. The fact that Scottie Barnes, Toronto Raptors, Jamal Shed, Grady Dick, all these guys get regular shout outs on largely an American platform. I mean, I've just believed that ideas spread like wildfire. I say that respectfully, not to the LA wildfires, but I just, as I'm not speaking from thought right now. So I just think that when you put things out there, as I very loudly advocated for Scottie to be put in the same conversation as Cade when he was a rookie, I want you to remember something clearly. Scottie was not in the same conversations as Cade and Evan Mobley when he was a rookie. He was not. I loudly advocated that he should be. Loudly. Now, did I impact it at all? Or was it all Scottie? I don't know. Maybe it was 2%, 1%, 0.5%, whatever it was definitely positive in that direction, right? And so that's where I think about it, and I'm like, okay, this is where like the ideas must be present. When I was younger, my one goal was for one of my favorite players. I had two goals really as a basketball, three goals. Number one, rectify Toronto's understanding of who Vince Carter was to them and to remedy the pain that was created by his departure. This was one of my biggest goals in the early 2000s. I had more goals as well. One of my other goals was to make sure that Kevin Durant does not get like completely slandered as a human being. Like I wanted to make sure that people had an optimistic, positive view of Kevin Durant. There was other goals that I had. Make sure that people register that Tim Duncan is a top 5 player of all time, because I believe he's a top 5 player of all time. So I said it. I said it on every forum I could. I said it on Facebook groups. I said it everywhere. I created graphics. I wanted to push this idea of Tim Duncan being a top 5 player because most people saw him as a top 25 player. And today he is widely considered as a top 5 player. I also want to push right now this agenda in my own mind of how great a player Arvydas Sabonis was. I also want to support Scottie Barnes. I have my dogs in this race. And to me, it's just putting the idea out there persuasively, intelligently, with facts and data, and allowing people to create their own opinion. The Toronto media has spent a lot of time, the mainstream media, multi-million dollar companies like TSN and Sportsnet and The Score, and they have spread this idea of Brandon Ingram as maybe stubborn, okay? Maybe stubborn, maybe injured, maybe overpaid, maybe redundant, maybe whatever, okay? And a lot of people have picked up what they put down, right? So I will show you what I tried to do. At the same time that they were doing that, we created live stream upon live stream, making very strong points as to what type of player that this too, supporting Dražen Petrovic, huge part of my childhood for sure. Look at all the posts, man. I want you to really try to understand what I'm trying to do here, right? This post right here, 605 likes. Okay, it's small. It's small, right? This one, 400 and... Oh, shit. Y'all not seeing it. My bad. This one right here, 410 likes. I mean, shit. We're a small X channel. Wait till we get a bigger platform. Wait till we can blitz. Wait till we can drown out the noise that's coming from TSN. Just wait for it. Even this, you know, like these are, you know, minimal. They're not thousands. We're not reaching the types of people that Bleacher Report is or whatever. But there's like deep, insightful stuff. Like I used to remember being a part of a Facebook group, and I used to see, because I was one of the admins on that group, and it was a group with like 50,000, 60,000 ish people. And Chris hashtags are dead, according to Elon Musk. And I will never forget reading some of the analytics of that group, and I would see all the shares, and I would just be like, wow. And this was in Scottie's rookie season. This is how I was supporting Scottie as a rookie. I didn't really have much of a YouTube channel at that point. And it was thousands and thousands and thousands of likes, like across, like we're talking, like I was looking at the analytics, 80,000 impressions, 120,000 impressions. I'm like, my God, like almost every Raptor fan who has Facebook has seen this post about Scottie and Fred, have seen this post about what a great player Scottie is. And it's fighting that message on Facebook was fighting the mainstream media saying Scottie is this, and I'm saying Scottie is this. And so it's a consistent war of opinion, war for ideas, war for, information, war for, war for consensus, whatever it is. But nevertheless, as we grow, our influence should grow accordingly. And as I grow as a podcaster, I think that the platform should grow as well. I will never forget my beef with Low, and I'll leave this as my final thing. I'm sorry for not exiting. I'll never forget my beef with Low. And I remember him looking up my channel, because he's a really huge content creator. He's the guy who's created 300,000, 200,000, 180,000. He gets 40, 50,000 views on everything he does. He's actually quite good at it. He's mastered the formula of YouTube. He's deeply charismatic. I maybe not stand the guy as a person, but can't deny, how he's built up his personality. And he looked at PENSARE Basketball. He said, "How long you been doing this?" It's like 2 years, 12,000. Nah, it's not about to get better for you. And I remember that moment and just kind of feeling like kind of this big content creator kind of looking down at me and saying, like, this is what you can't do. You can never be me. You can never have, 300, 400,000 subscribers. You can never be a big content creator. You're basically going to starve in the YouTube streets. I'll read, sometimes I'll read a Real GM comment, a Real GM section about me where people are lying and saying shit. And people are like, I remember one time someone wrote 3,000 subscribers. That's all he's got. He'd be homeless in these YouTube streets. These comments drive me for sure. They do. They drive me like to become a better content creator. They drive me to become the type of content creator that people are perfectly convinced that I will never be. So that's my, it's not advice. I'm just, I guess I'm oversharing, sharing. I think Pensare B-Ball is partly to blame for the RJ versus Scottie talk. That Scottie and RJ beef video was fire, but probably planted seeds. I think the overall tone of that video was extremely positive about them. But no, I think anytime, I think people have archetypes of narratives. So Scottie versus Fred became Scottie versus Siakam, became Scottie versus RJ, which will become Scottie versus BI, which will. Do you realize that there are certain people in this fan base that the first question they ask about Cooper Flag is, if Cooper Flag is here, is this still Scottie's team? They have a very divisive way of thinking about things. They can't think of, this is the only way they can understand sports. Is this Brandon Ingram's team or is this Scottie's team? Is this Tatum's team or Brown's team? Is this Shaq's team or Kobe's team? It's just not a question that reasonably good basketball people need to ask all that often. It's funny because I don't usually agree with a lot of Jack's takes, but he did say this, and kudos to him for saying it. He said this franchise stuff is stupid. Now, at the same time, it's a business. It's a business of basketball, and it's a business of winning. And so it is important to have a clear face and a clear directive of what you're building around. The Raptors are building around Scottie Barnes. Please understand that. I hope people in this community understand that trading for Brandon Ingram does not move. You're not like, the faith that they have in Scottie is that he can be like really like one of the 5 to 10 best players in the world. They don't see anybody else on this team as being that. If they find another player like that, like Cooper Flag in this draft, hello, look out. Now we're really cooking with gas. Now you're really going to see RJ and you know, potentially even Grady or someone like that moving on, and you're going to see this team like go all in. You are going to see them go all in. Like you're going to see them go all in like you've never seen before. You're going to see picks upon picks being traded. They're not going to be patient. If they get Cooper Flag, Brandon Ingram, and Scottie Barnes on the same team, this is not a team that's going to be patient at all. They're not going to be cheap about it either. So Cooper changes everything. I don't know who else in this draft changes everything, but what I do know is that for the last hour and a half, thankfully, I have not had to cough. So I'm very thankful for that. I'll catch y'all later. Have a great one. To those of you who stuck it out with us, 3 hours, 30 minutes. That's the vibe. Ironic comment, Raptors media is about story over everything, including great basketball. That's interesting. Story over everything is our hashtag. To those of you who don't know, story over everything. And She Wolf too would know that because she came to Penn Dance last year. If you would like to come to Penn Dance as well, please don't forget my offer. I mentioned it earlier. If you have any dire need, financial, whatever, you just reach out to me via email. I'll send you a code for 2 free tickets. No problem. I got y'all. Take care. Have a great night. Big shout out to Vince and big shout out to all the callers. Also, I feel like big shout outs to Pepper Jack, who has been just incredible with these super chats lately. Thank you so much. And also big shout out to Zero Sum. Catch y'all later, man. Have a great night.